Hello friends and bees and friends who are also bees, and welcome to this week's Indie Thursday stream. This week we are going to be continuing our playthrough of Higurashi When They Cry, Tsumihoroboshi. When we left off last week, we had just seen into Reina's past and seen why she doesn't want to go home. And this week we're gonna keep going with whatever the hell is happening. My computer appears to be having a little bit of an issue, but it seems to be sorting itself out, I hope. Yeah, so without further ado, let us swap over to the GP. Hopefully that's right. Let me know if it's too loud or too quiet, and I shall turn it up as needed. And let us continue into chapter 4. We have read the tips, I believe. I'm just going to double check and click a few new tips in case you haven't. Yes, no, we've definitely read both of those. Good, good. The other thing I'm going to do is make sure that my bot is alive. What? Do you live? Are Streamlabs having issues? It's up to this guy. I've got fucking, I'd rather be drunk, but at least I'm alive, or whatever it's called, stuck in my head. Specifically the, like, spoken over bit that sounds, a lot like it's, Are you back, bot? Let me try that again. The spoken bit that sounds like it's in a 90s pop song. Set to the sky. I'll be your galaxy. I'm sorry if that appeared in chat twice. It appears to be appearing after it all. Okay, we're going to be botless for a minute while I restart Streamlabs, and also while I physically fist fight my computer. I'll swap back to this for a bit. Because I am going to fist fight my computer, by the way. It's like, oh, you're doing stuff? What if I just, like, install shit right now? How fucking wild would that be? Can you imagine? Like, you wanted to use your computer, but actually I'm here installing stuff. I'm gonna do that without asking, even though I am supposed to. Pause updates. This won't affect the running of Higurashi. The fact that my computer's running updates, it will just make life more difficult than it needs to be. This computer really does drive me around the bend sometimes. The other problem is I don't know exactly what's wrong, I just know that something is. For example, the settings have just completely frozen. Good news, at least my ear is less irritated than it was this morning, so there's always that. Oh, the joys of a recently healing piercing, and the fact that you are constantly managing it. But to be like, how does the baby feel about getting up today? And the answer is, it hurts and it doesn't want to get up. And then I'm like, yeah, you know, me too, buddy. You're not special. Okay. It's not showing my bot as a moderator, but it is definitely connected. Let's try this one more time. Ah, MochiBot lives. Even if there's nothing else, MochiBot lives. Okay, right, let's swap over to the gameplay because you don't want to see me doing this, and I'll try and sort this shit out with Windows updates in my own time. Continue. By the way, my fan is running because it's extremely warm and I've been cleaning all evening. Hey, good morning, Reina. You're late today. You're just early today, Keiichi. I'm not trying to put aside the fact that I'm always late, but it feels good to defeat you once in a while. Oh, I slept in this morning. I couldn't sleep last night. Oh, you too? Same here. We're still feeling yesterday's uproar. Took me a long time to go to sleep. Yesterday I had a lot of fun with my friends and went home still riding that high. I was too full to eat dinner. I kept talking with my parents about the great time I had over the past few days. I was so pumped up that I couldn't go to sleep. Kinda sounds like I'm a little kid. But given that Reina seemed to be the same way, I felt better about it. Okay, sorry. Pausing thing. No, I felt better isn't the right way of phrasing it. I should say I'm glad to know that we shared the same feeling. Reina went treasure hunting after I left. I'm sure she found many adorable things, went home and talked with her parents about how great the day was. Hey, Mion. Good morning. Oh, you're here early. Better watch out for pigs falling from the sky. I know, I usually make you wait for me, but you do really have to say it like that. Katie was unusually early this morning. Today is full of miracles. You want to talk yourself. It's going to be another happy day today. I had fun the day before yesterday. I had fun yesterday, so I'm going to have fun today for sure. I'm happy and Mion is happy too. Of course, Reina and my other friends are equally happy. I'm not afraid to say it, and I wish these happy days would last forever. You should be afraid to say it, because they won't. Just saying. Hey, Mion, what are we playing today? What, for club? I don't know yet. Reina, do you have any ideas? Let's see. We've been playing athletic games for the past few days, so I'd say something not athletic. You're right, it's a very good point. A club isn't only about athletic performance, is it? Of course it's not. Yeah. Thank you, Pixie! Thank you very much for the resub, it is very much appreciated. I hope you're doing as well as you can be, Pixie, and I'm giving hugs to you and I'm giving very delicate pats to Dusky, okay? Thank you, Pixie, it is very, very much appreciated. Love is stored in the mochi for the Pixie and the Mel and the Dusky Beans. Just so you know, okay, I'm thinking of you. Even as I wait for my computer to get its shit together. Whatever, I'll deal with this later. Aw, he's a good boy. Make sure some of those pets are from me, okay? Because he is a good boy and he deserves nothing but love, which of course is all you have given him, except for food and pets and everything else. Dusky Beans is a good kitten. Okay. Of course it's not. Our club members have to have brain skill and brawn to boot. Well, let me click back into the game. So why don't we play some tabletop games today? Everybody was early this morning. We could enjoy our walk to school for once. After a while, we started talking about the upcoming festival. They told me that the festival was called Watanagashi and that it's the biggest event of the year in Hinamizawa. Yesterday, my relatives gathered at my house in Okonomiya, and they started talking about you, Keiichi. What, me? What did the great people of the Samazaki family talk about? Well, my uncle Yosho is the store manager of Angelmore, and he saw your performance yesterday. He really likes you now. So I started asking the others if they'd heard of you, and I found out that most of them did. They said you're famous in Hinamizawa. Famous? It doesn't sound like you mean it in a good way. Probably more infamous to them because of the punishments you made me do. It's not only that. They said that you blend in well, that you're full of energy, that you're a little bit reckless. They said that it's rare for a young man in this era to have all those qualities. They were very impressed with you. I felt a bit embarrassed to know that people I haven't even met were speaking well of me. And so they want you to do something at the Higurashi festival. You like to draw people's attention, don't you? Hey, don't assume things and don't decide anything without me. Don't you know I'm a quiet, lonely guy who loves to be alone? Yeah, right, buddy. Lonely guy? You mean lone boy, don't you? How Keiichi being... You're having... Reina, no! Reina, no! Whoa, stop talking about things like that. Ladies don't talk about things like that. We were really still feeling the after effects of yesterday. I feel like a lonely guy and a lone boy, it's close enough as a pun that I can just about get it, but it's still definitely, translators really wedged that one in there. That's right, I'm used to it from Koji Fox and his terrible puns for the English translations of Final Fantasy. Mion and I made a lot of noise teasing each other on the way to school. Reina watched us and laughed happily. Toko and Rika were already there when you arrived at school. They were also full of energy. Tomita and Okamura were too. From that, I can tell that they also had a good time yesterday. Everybody has been having a good time, really. In Hinamizawa, everybody is happy. Hasn't even been a year yet since I moved here, but... What is it? Well, I'm just glad that I moved here. What's wrong, Keiichi? You're being sentimental. I understand. I understand exactly how you feel. You feel like everything is perfect, that you've become happy since you moved to Hinamizawa. I think this village has some kind of power to make people feel that way. Are you happy, Reina? Yes, I'm happy every day here in Hinamizawa. Yeah, me too. Hey, don't leave this old man out in the cold. Let me in on the conversation too. The sky was clear and a few thin clouds were pure white. The cry of the cicadas was telling me that summer would be coming earlier than usual. Higurashi is just around the corner. I'm sure we'll have great fun at the festival too. There'll be more and more fun days to come, I'm sure of it. Summer is just around the corner. I have really good news, which is that the awful peely stage of my tattoo is finally coming to an end, and the itchiness has subsided to ignorable as opposed to literal hell. I'm still going to keep moisturising it basically up until I leave here, just to be sure, but I can probably go down to... I don't know, because I'm in the office, I like doing 3 washes a day just because I like washing it as soon as I get home in case sort of there's been anything from there, but despite my initial worries, it seems to be healing really, really well, which I'm really glad of, so I'll have to, I'm seeing some friends at the end of August, I'll have to get them to take some good healing photos of it. The last day of class was finally over, meaning that it was time for club activities. We're Reina now, by the way, that's what the pink text means. I was sure it would be fun. I couldn't wait. But then Mion received a call and told us something had come up and she had to go, so we didn't have a club meeting today. I was really looking forward to it. There was nothing I could do, but I could at least chat with Keiichi on the way home. It'll be fun. Keiichi sometimes says mean things, but he's very funny. When I chat with him, my depression goes away. Wait, what did I just say? Am I depressed? I have so much fun every day and I'm as happy as I can be. What did I have to be depressed about? Well, it was obvious. Because of Ms. Reena, or because I don't say Reena, my father is happy now. Before he met her, he was like a lamp in broad daylight. Honestly, he was like the living dead. But after he met Reena, he started to smile like he used to when he was living with my mother. He enjoyed talking with her and started going out with her. You could probably say they went on dates. Now he looks 10, no, 20 years younger. Reena gets along with my father very well, and she's very kind to me too. There's actually no reason for me to hate her, but the bitter memories of my parents' divorce and my many regrets were gradually eating away at my heart. Was it okay to accept that woman? Reena might be the same as how Uncle Akihito turned out to be. Is she the enemy who takes my happiness away with her very existence? With or without bad intentions? Am I going to sit around until everything collapses again? Should I fight the enemy before it's too late? Reena comes to my house a little too obviously. Since my father started letting her stay the night, many of her belongings have turned up in the house. My father and I don't smoke, but there's an ashtray in the living room. The futon in our guest room is hers now. In a bathroom, there's a toothbrush and shampoo I'd never choose to buy. I started to feel awkward about those things, and that's when I started noticing it at the front door when I came home from school. Her perfume. I asked my father once if he was thinking about getting married to Reena. He looked a little embarrassed, perplexed, and confused. He told me, not yet. He knew I was hurt by the divorce. That's probably why he couldn't admit that he wanted to remarry. That's why he said not yet. He'd consider it, but not while I was still living with him. That's what he meant, I guess. There's only one reason why I don't want him to get remarried to Reena. I feel offended that my sanctum, my family, is being invaded. I might be being selfish, though. I know keeping my father all to myself means keeping him miserable like he was before he met Reena. He has a life to live too. It's his right to heal from the pain from the divorce and to live, to find his new love. He wouldn't have had to go through that painful life if I prevented the divorce from happening in the first place. He has a right to a happy new life that lets me drop my lip balm tub. Where'd it go? He has a right to a happy new life that lets him forget the pain he never deserved, and I don't have any right to stop him. Sorry, I'm just... Ah, here it is. I don't have any right to stop him. In fact, I have an obligation to try to return his happiness to him. I have to pay for my sin, my inability to prevent his divorce. Then, what should I do to make both of us happy? It wouldn't be that difficult. All I need to do would be to give my son an approval of their relationship. My father tells me he won't get remarried while we live together. Sorry, hands dry. That means I should stop leaning on my family, be strong and live on my own as soon as I can. Although that doesn't mean I can tell him not to go out with her until that day. Reena comes to our house to see him despite her busy schedule, and she even stays the night whenever her shifts permit. They're adults. I have no right to say anything against that. That's why I chose to give my son an approval to the relationship and try to see her as little as I could. I get along with Reena on the surface. I know my father would have a hard time keeping face if we didn't, but it's a very exhausting and painful thing to get along with a person I don't really like. So whenever Reena comes over, I spend as much time as possible outside, then head home late. Meals and club activities are the most convenient thing to do to kill time, but there are some days we don't have a club meeting. On those days, I while around my time at the garbage dump, hunting for treasure alone. And that's how I started to make my secret hideout. My father can do whatever he wants with Reena at home. I don't have to see them together. I can spend my time peacefully at my hideout. I sometimes feel depressed about my life. I sometimes want to talk to somebody about it. But nothing will change even if I talk to somebody. This is all I can really do. The most important thing for me should be to overcome the sadness of losing my family as fast as I could and to regain my own happiness. I have so much fun every day. I'm happy every day. Even on the way home, Katie was talking about funny things that made me laugh. My feeling gloomy in spite of that was kind of rude. My father should be happy. I should be happy. I just feel sad because I still can't separate from my father. Compared to the unexpectedness of the divorce, Reena San's invasion is a very slow process. I think Reena understands how I feel. She treats me very kindly, but she doesn't do more than that. I think she understands that I'd feel uncomfortable if she did. I respect Rika because she's strong even without her parents. Compared to the pain of losing both her parents unexpectedly, my problem is like nothing. I respect Satoko's toughness too. She also lost her parents and was forced to live a painful life under her uncle and aunt. Compared to the cruel treatment she had to go through, my relationship with Reena is a blessed one. I keep feeling anxious, but that's just because I'm still immature, and because I feel like I'm not ready to separate from my father. I have to be strong, like Rika and Satoko. I have to try my best to be happy. I'm going to live with all my might, in order to regain the peace of mind that I lost that day. My assumption that I'm not happy is just a mistake. I should appreciate the wonderful days I spend with my wonderful friends. Just by realizing that I'm happy, the world shines so brightly. Listen. It was just so cute, so I screamed, "I'm taking it home with me." I bet you did. You're an expert at making the most out of every day. I am, aren't I? I feel very fortunate to have a wonderful life and wonderful friends. How could I be unhappy? You're right. In Hinamizawa, nobody becomes unhappy. Everyone stays happy. Hinamizawa is free from misfortunes. I'm going to screenshot that. He should have stopped right there, but he just kept going. I'm jealous of you, Reina. I wish I could be an idiotic optimist like you. Oh, sounds like you're insulting me, but if that's what I need to make every day wonderful, I wouldn't mind, would I? I don't have any worries. I feel like I do, but that's just because I'm immature and still want my father's attention. Rena, no! Reina, rather. Come on, say the magical words. It'll cheer you up. Oh. Didn't make sense to say it now, but I was gonna say it anyway, because this is my magical phrase that always cheers me up. How? I'm taking it home with me. What's wrong with you? That's so like you, but still. That's right. This is me, Reina. I'm not Reina. Reina still wants her parents' attention. Reina is a goofy and carefree girl. She knows that every day is full of happiness and she has the kind heart to appreciate it too. I should forget about icky things. I should live a wonderful life free of anything icky. Icky starts with I. And that's why I got rid of the I in Reina. I'm Reina. I'm going to recapture the happiness I lost when I left Hinamizawa. I will overcome any pain and hardship. I can be happy, because I got rid of icky things. I'm sure there are only incredible things waiting for me. Oh, incredible starts with I too. I just want to hug Reina. Just once. I want to hug every character in this game, to be honest. They all deserve it. I was almost home, and when my house appeared, I noticed something different. There was a truck parked in front of my house. There was nothing on the back of it, but I can tell it brought something here because I saw cardboard boxes, blankets, and ropes on the ground. From the front of the house, I heard the voices of two young men saying, "Well, we'll be going now." They passed me by as I walked towards the front door. They were wearing some kind of work uniform. They looked like delivery people. My father was about to close the door when he noticed me. "Hey, I'm home. What's going on?" "Oh, Reina, I have a surprise for you." My father looked to be in a good mood. I didn't know why he was, but whenever he smiled like that, I just wanted to smile back at him. His eyes used to look like those of a dead fish no matter how hard I tried to smile at him. But these days he could put on a big smile just to surprise me. He has been literally coming back to life since a year ago when we moved back to Hinamizawa. No, since he started dating Reena. When I see him smile like this, I'm happy. But at the same time, I feel confused because I don't know whether I should thank Reena or not. "Look, doesn't it look great?" He took me to the living room. He was probably expecting me to go ooh and ah. So whether there was something in the living room or not, I was ready to go ooh and ah for him. How? What is this? What did you do? I tried to sound excited and surprised. He was standing behind me, probably smiling with satisfaction at hearing my excited voice. I, on the other hand, was desperately trying to understand what was going on. For a moment, I thought I was in someone else's house. You see, the living room had been completely redecorated. The furniture we had was basically all from the former house in Higurashi. My parents bought most of the furniture when they got married, so it was all old and a little dirty. Some of them still had crayon scribbles I drew when I was very little. But all of that was gone. Everything in the living room had turned to pastel colour, looking very sophisticated like the rooms you'd see in soap operas. The new carpet looked very tropical. The new curtains matched with the carpet. The new sofa looked very expensive. The living room in general looked like a resort hotel. The channel switch of our old TV was broken, and we used to have to use pliers to change channels, but it was gone too, replaced by a new one with a big screen. The room lights had also been replaced by nicer looking ones. The living room looked like a totally different world under the new fluorescent lights. "This looks great, Dad. What made you do this?" "I did it to get a fresh start. It's been a year since we moved here. I thought it was time for me to reboot and finally start a new life." I suggested redecorating the house once in order to cheer him up, because he was still in pain after the divorce. But he wasn't interested at the time. He didn't want to get rid of the old furniture he'd chosen with my mother, because he still can get over her, even though she cruelly broke up with him. I wanted to suggest it again when the time was right. I never thought he'd do it on his own initiative. That was a good idea. This beautiful living room makes me feel refreshed. I love it. I knew you would. Reina, you always wanted to have a rocking chair, didn't you? I haven't set it up yet, but look, I got it for you. Oh, Dad, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is mine, right? Right? Hey, this is for everybody, not just for you, Reina. I understand, but I'm not going to get off the chair once I sit on it. My father explained the details of his redecoration proudly. He told me they only did the living room this time, but he's going to redecorate all of the rooms. He sure had become more active. There were some parts about the redecoration I didn't like, but I still thought it was great because it made him happy. I found the old furniture outside in the yard. You going to throw them away? Oh no, don't crash on me, game. Yeah, I think we should. A delivery company is coming later to pick them up. Getting rid of the old furniture means putting an end to my mother. I hated the furniture because it smelled like my mother, and I tried to break everything once. I understand why my father wants to take this opportunity to get rid of them. But, for some reason, this new living room makes me feel like I no longer belonged here.
My father didn't choose the new furniture. Reena probably did. Most likely, my father and Reena decided to redecorate the living room and went to a furniture store to buy everything. I tried to think positively. The reason why my father didn't tell me about the redecoration was because he wanted to surprise me. No, my father never really considers things that deeply, so I suppose he didn't tell me because he just didn't think he needed to tell me. I'm sure he didn't redecorate the living room to make me feel like I was no longer welcome. Don't be negative, Reina. My father didn't have any bad intentions. He doesn't want to get rid of me. He doesn't think I'm the reason he can't get remarried. And yet, why did I feel sad, looking at the old furniture in the yard? Why did I feel like I didn't belong? I realised the reason right away. The reason was me. To him, wanting to have a fresh start by getting rid of the things that remind him of my mother might be an indication of his unconscious desire to get rid of her daughter. My father doesn't really consider things deeply, so he might not be thinking that I'm the reason he can't get remarried. But he understands that he can't get remarried while we live together. By staying with him, I'm torturing my father. It was my fault that he had to get a divorce. That's why I have to support him, to help him recapture his happiness. I couldn't just keep him all to myself. I'd have to start thinking about living on my own. I don't need to go to university. I should start thinking about getting a job. But who would hire an uneducated girl like me? Even if somebody did hire me, I wouldn't be able to earn enough money to live on my own. Maybe I should think about working at a hostess club, like Reena does. People only choose the jobs they can. A girl like me doesn't have a lot of choices. Not a lot of companies would hire me or pay the amount of money I'd need to live on my own. But, come to think of it, where is the place where I belong? Whenever I end up feeling like this, I miss my secret hideout in the trash piles. I love to get under my blankets and feel the warmth on a cold night. The hideout gets hot and humid during the day and very cold at night. It's not a comfortable place to spend time in. But it might be the place where I can relax the most. More than I can at my house. No, I shouldn't think like this. I shouldn't think that my house has been invaded by Reena. I should thank her for making my father happy. Reena isn't trying to kick me out of the house. She's trying to get along with me. But I'm not opening my heart to her. I'm the bad one. I'm the bad one. And I'm blessed. Satoshi and his aunt didn't get along at all, and she abused him for a long time. Compared to him, my situation was a lot easier. Satoko and Rika lost their parents, and they live together now. They've been through very hard times. On the other hand, I still live with my father. I should feel blessed. I shouldn't think I'm unhappy just because of these things. I am happy. I am blessed. The trouble with me is that I still can't admit that I'm happy. Oh, Reina. There's depression! My father kept talking proudly about the redecoration. I nodded at him with a big smile and let him keep at it. Oh, I almost forgot. Reina, can I ask you a favour? So I will make a quick note. I understand that Reina is probably pronounced still close to Reina, and not in the Reina that I'm doing, which sounds more Southern European, but it's the only way I figured to differentiate between our Reina and Reina, who is his daughter. So I'm sorry that it sounds weird, and I'm trying to figure out a way to make it sound more natural. Sure, what is it? I ordered 2 jackets from the clothing store. Seems like they came in today. I have to help the delivery company pick up the furniture, so can you go get the jackets for me? Sure. Which store is it? I wonder what kind of jackets you got. Can't wait to see them. No matter what they look like, I'm sure Reena picked them out for him. Although I don't mind going. I'd rather go to the store than listen to his stories about the redecoration of our living room. I got the receipt, asked him where the store is, changed my clothes and left the house. I started pedaling my bicycle and looked at the old furniture in the yard for the last time. They used to be the object of my hatred, but for some reason, they now made me feel sentimental. Okay, Pixie, take care. Look after yourself. Give Dusky a kiss from me. Is it because I still regret the loss of my mother, even though I hate her? I couldn't let poisonous emotions take over my heart. I understood that in my mind, but I just couldn't get rid of that feeling. The old furniture wasn't the only stuff that was kicked out of the house. There was also a lot of junk that I brought home from the landfill. My father was probably going to throw that away too. He doesn't like the junk I collect. He'll probably let the delivery company take it all together with the old furniture. Just like an animal that rubs a scent on its home in order to feel secure, I collected all the junk in order to make sure I could stay here. No, that's not it. I wanted to bring them to my house because they were abandoned by their former owners. And they needed a place to live. My favourite piece of junk that Reina brings back is the Burger King. I'm going to check a thing quickly. Okay. The store where my father ordered his jackets from is a fancy boutique. It's hard to believe my father would shop at a store like this on his own. I could tell right away that Reena took him here. I handed over his receipt to the cashier. A short time later, the store manager came out wearing a perplexed look. Miss Yurugu, I'm very sorry, but it seems like the truck carrying your jackets is stuck in traffic. Should be here soon, though. He said that the driver called a while ago, told him he just got off the highway and would be here in about an hour. I didn't need to know all the details, but he explained them to me anyway. I asked him if I should come back tomorrow. He insisted that I should wait because the truck would be coming shortly, and he urged me to take a seat on their sofa. But I didn't really feel comfortable waiting there, so I told him I'd be back soon and left the store. I wondered if there are any fast food restaurants nearby. I might have to go all the way back to the station. I looked around and found a coffee house. The glass on the door was black, so I couldn't see inside. There was a poster saying the price for a cup of tea is lower than normal for women on weekdays. I just began to get a cup of tea to kill some time. It should be okay, but still I hesitated to go inside before opening the door. Her first impression of the coffee house was the smell of cigarettes. It's normal for coffee houses to be filled with cigarette smoke. It's like a requirement. It is! But Reina still regretted her decision. While she was thinking about leaving, the proprietor spoke to her briskly and showed her to a table. Reina gave up on the idea of leaving and sat down. The atmosphere in the shop was far from a clean, normal coffee house where you would go to simply enjoy coffee and cigarettes. It was more like a place where vulgar people would hang around. Reina didn't feel comfortable at all, but what bothered her most was the laughter of a man and woman sitting together in the very back of the shop. Her table was behind a planter, so depending on how one looked at it, one could say she was in the spot most protected from their laughter. But Reina looked as though she wanted to leave as soon as she finished her tea. The bell hanging from the entrance door rang, letting her know a customer just came in. It was a little surprising for her that a coffee shop like this could draw in so many customers. Reina peeked at the newcomers from behind the planter. There were two of them. They looked like vulgar men, the kind of people you didn't want to get involved with the instant you saw them. The proprietor tried to show them to a table, but they ignored him and walked towards the back. They walked up to the couple who'd been laughing loudly and greeted them with a bow. Hey, you finally made it. Sit down. The couple stopped laughing, and the man told the newcomers to sit down in a threatening tone of voice. As instructed, the two of them took a seat. So, what happened? We're very sorry. We tried to. Cut it, dipshit. Just hand it over. The two of them looked at each other before they shook an envelope out of their pockets and put it on the table. The man roughly grabbed the two envelopes and tore one of them open. Inside there were many wrinkled 10,000 yen bills stuffed into a bundle with a rubber band. $100. He opened the other one to make sure it also had cash in it and then threw it to the woman. Count 'em. Hey, don't order me around. This is originally my money, you know. Shut up. Just count 'em. The man yelled at the woman. Hang on a second, what? Is Reena the one who's with Tepe, who later kills herself? She licked her thumb, looking annoyed, and started counting the cash expertly. The two newcomers hung their heads while she counted. Lighting a cigarette, the man waited for her to finish counting. Good, it's all here. The woman said that after flicking through the last bill. The newcomers looked relieved. The man, however, didn't look satisfied as he stared at the bundle of bills the woman was holding. Ritsuko, how much is there? What? I told you it's all here. I'm asking you, how much is that? I told you, all the money I lent them. No, idiot, I'm asking you if they paid the interest. The man and Ritsuko yelled at each other. Even though they were making all that noise, the other customers acted like they didn't hear anything. Hey, boys, there's only 2 mil in here. What's going on? The two of them were trying to find some excuses to make. It seemed like this payphone touched the man's nerves as he started looking furious. Fuck is this? I asked you, what's going on? Better start talking. His angry voice echoed through the shop. He hit the table hard and dropped a glass on the floor. The noise thickened the tension in the atmosphere. We're very sorry. Being sorry doesn't give it the interest, does it? Don't mind calling the police to solve our problem, you know. Please don't. The two newcomers must have been in an extremely vulnerable position. They bowed so deeply that their foreheads almost touched the table. Called y'all here because I thought you wouldn't want me to involve the police. But then you act like you don't fucking care, We're sorry. We're very sorry. While you could pity them, the newcomers looked as vulgar as the man threatening them, making it hard to decide whether you should feel sorry for them or not. After a while, Ritsuko opened her mouth as if to offer them help. I want to see his other artworks. This is definitely the only good one. Chan, don't be so mean to them. I'm sorry. My guy gets mad easily when money's involved. You don't have to add the money part. I'm getting ticked because they're bitching at you. Geez, saying those stupid things won't get you anything. The man pulled Ritsuko roughly into his arms and frantically kissed her lips without caring about the other customers. The kiss wasn't like the lovely ones that normal couples would share. It looked obscene instead. He let her lips go to take a breath, kissed them again, and repeated that for a while. After a while, he finally got bored of kissing and let her go. Gets really mad when it comes to me too. He's impossible. So what? This woman's like a part of my body. Putting dirt on her means putting dirt on me. Whoever tries to do that is in for a bloodbath. Do you remember the guy with the comb over? Forgot what you did to that guy after you took him outside. Haha, I remember him. He challenged me, wanted to take it outside. Said he did karate, so I got a little excited to see what he had, and I punched him in the stomach, but then he just keeled down on the ground. It was disappointed, so I took off his underthings and made him clean the public toilets with them. See, I'm helping society. Deserve an award for that one. Can't believe you made him do that. It's so gross sometimes. Haha. They started laughing loudly like they were doing earlier. The laughter obviously intimidated the companions. Listen, you two. I can't say that word. Tepe is actually in a very good mood today. Usually he'd start yelling, "This isn't enough money," and you'd be thrown into the Oji River naked by now. We truly apologise for the inconvenience. Well, you forgot about the interest, but you did put together all the rest of the money in time. I'm impressed. So I'll be nice and to take that into consideration, you know? Anyway, his interest rate is a little high, but it's only 5 if you pay it today. If you wait even a day longer, it'll be doubled. And if it's doubled, I don't think you'll be able to pay it no matter what you do. So I'm going to make you a deal. Tepe, would you give us a minute? Sure, I guess it's okay. The man left the table with a grin and headed for the bathroom. He was far too amenable to that request, as if they planned for him to leave the table at that moment. Ritsuko made sure he was in the bathroom, then took some papers out of her bag and spread them on the table. You're young. You don't want to ruin your life because of an outlaw like him, do you? So I recommend you pay all the interest today. If you do, you can cut your ties with him. We understand that, but we can't get 500,000 yen just like that. I understand. I bet you tried really hard to collect that 2 million yen. I understand there's no one who'd help you out with another 500,000. They must have done their very best to collect even the money they brought today, so it must be impossible for them to collect even a dime from anybody now. They hung their heads and told her that. However, take a look. I made this for you. The guys looked at the paper on the table and muttered under their breaths. You don't need collateral or a joint guarantor for this, so the interest rate is a bit high, but with this you can take out a loan of 500,000 yen right away. Even this interest rate is a lot better than Tepe's. What do you think? It'd be easy for anyone to guess what Ritsuko was trying to force them to do. If you show him this with your signature on it, I'm sure he'll let you off. It's your choice, though. If you need a pen, you can use mine. Here. They read the small print on the documents and were stunned by the outrageous interest rate. Ritsuko didn't force them to do anything. She just looked out the window and smoked a cigarette. After a while, the man returned from the bathroom. Hey, did you come to an agreement? They looked at him, steeled to themselves, and took the pen. They're going to borrow money to pay your interest. It's only 500,000 yen, so they can pay their debt soon if they work really hard. That's great. I'm impressed. Men get tough when they have something burdening them. They must have planned this from the very beginning. The man and Ritsuko got what they wanted and grinned at each other. There were many things to fill out in the documents, and it was taking them a long time. The man and Ritsuko, already knowing that, started talking amongst themselves. Ritsuko, how's your husband in Hinamizawa doing? What? He's not my husband. What's going on with him? I heard he has a lot of money. How much do you think you can squeeze out of him? Well, you'll be so surprised. I heard his ex-wife gave him a settlement when they divorced, right? But I just found out she gave him a lot. How much is a lot? He has about 50 million yen in the bank. He's a big spender. Wow, it's real big. So how much do you think you can squeeze out of him? He has a big crush on me. He buys me anything I want. Anything. He's not cheap like you. I get serious about him. I don't think so. Your body won't be satisfied with anyone but me. Stop it, not here. So what's the plan? Thinking about telling him I need some money in order to get rid of my ex-boyfriend. How much are you going to ask him for? Whisper, whisper. Ha ha! You're a scary woman. Let me know if you need an actor for your play. I'll be your scary ex-boyfriend. Excuse me, we finished. Great. Then let's bring it over to the loan company. Ritsuko, take care of the check, would you? The man pat them on the shoulders and then walked to the door. Another person was just about to enter and they nearly ran into each other. The man probably wouldn't make way for the person, considering his personality. But when he noticed who that person was, he stepped aside. The person looked as vulgar as all the other men. He was wearing a black suit with sunglasses on. He wasn't that big, but his stern look was very intimidating. It was clear at a glance that he was a gangster and a professional one at that. He's also a nice guy who looks after Shion. The man who was behaving badly earlier looked a little nervous in front of him. As Ritsuko finished paying the check, she noticed the man in the suit. Oh, General Manager? Good morning, sir. The man in the suit said nothing. He just raised his chin as if saying, fuck off. Ritsuko and the others bowed to him and left the shop in a hurry. The proprietor noticed the man in the suit, also greeting him with a bow. Who could he have been? He appeared sedate compared to the other men, but he must be dangerous because he made even them step aside. Everybody in the shop thought the same thing and tried not to look at him. The man in the suit looked around and found the menu on the wall. The proprietor walked up to him hesitantly. Hey, waiter. Yes, is anything bothering you, sir? Do you have this seasonal dessert? Sweet something or other today? Huh? Oh, No, actually, we aren't running that today, but, well, if you insisted, then we can make it specially for you. If you're not selling it, you're not selling it. I'll come back some other day. Hey, Kasai. He said he'd make it for you. Take his offer. We came all the way here. The girl seemed to be the only one who couldn't read the heavy atmosphere in the shop, and she laughed cheerfully. It was Mion Sonozaki's twin sister, Shion. Shion pushed Kasai into the store while he hesitated. She looked at a girl who was sitting down and stopped in her tracks. Huh? Oh, it's you. Hello. Reina. How are you doing? Eh? Oh, Shion? I'm surprised to see you here. Huh? Are you here by yourself? You waiting for someone? Is it my sis? Or maybe could it be Keiichi? Ah, Shion. Who is this? Are you talking about Kasai here? He's like my bodyguard. He'll protect me when my life is in danger, won't you? I'll give my life for your sake if that's what you want me to do. How? Kasai, if you were 20 years younger, I might have fallen for you. He looks scary, but he's a very funny guy. This is Reina Yugu. She's Sister's friend. My name is Kasai. Nice to meet you. Kasai, do you know the people who just walked past you? Kasai nodded, indicating he was familiar with them. Who are they? I've never seen them before. The man is Teppei Hojo, a skunk of a human being. Shion seemed to know who he was once he shared the name Hojo. And the woman? Reena Mamiya. I believe that's her business name. Her real name is Ritsuko Mamiya, I think. She's a hostess at the Flower Road. Kasai, do you know what he is to her? They look like a couple to me. Hojo was Reena's pimp. They're very, very bad people, so you should never get involved with them. How bad are they? Reena pressed him for the answer, and Kasai seemed to back down a little from that pressure. It's more courteous to stay out of a woman's private affairs. How bad are they? Please don't ask. How bad are they? Reena kept asking the same question until she got an answer. Shion sensed how desperate Reina was and cut into the conversation. Kasai, why don't you just tell her? I don't think she's asking out of curiosity. Am I right, Reina? There was tension developing between Reina and Kasai. Shion seemed to be the only one who couldn't read the mood. Kasai finally opened his mouth. They're both skunks, really. I've heard that they make a living by gambling and blackmailing people. I've also heard that they set up badger games. What's a badger game? Well, a badger game is like a marriage fraud. The woman finds a catch, a man who has money, and begins a relationship with him. Then her boyfriend shows up and captures them in the act, blames the guy for stealing his girlfriend, then blackmails him for money. First, the woman makes him buy expensive stuff for her, and then she and her boyfriend take all of his money. There's rumour that she's got herself a big catch recently. Wow, whoever that is, I'm so sorry for him. Well, the guy had some fun with her too. I guess he gets what he deserves. That's a little harsh, Shion. A man sometimes falls for a woman very easily. Oh, really? I wonder who you fell for. Waiter, bring the dessert to us, please. Wait, where did she go? She just took her leave. Reina was already gone. The door, which had just closed, looked as if it was the only thing that knew where she went. Poor Reina. When I got home, the door was locked. I used my key to get in, and I found a note in the living room. Something's come up, so I have to go. I'm going to eat out tonight, is what the note said. This wasn't the first time he'd done something like this. Each time, he only told me he had to go to Okonomiya for something. But I knew the real reason because I heard him talking on the phone once. Reena must have had some free time between jobs and asked him out to have dinner together. I heaved a sigh looking at the new living room I hated and went to my room. I thought back of what I just heard at the coffee house. I tried to rationalise the meaning of her actions there. Maybe she had to pretend to be a bad person because she was being threatened by the man. But even after the man she called Teppei left the table, she continued to threaten the guys and push them into signing the loan contract immediately. If she was threatened to play along with a man, she wouldn't have done that. If she was pretending to be a bad person, she could have shown a little bit of mercy or sympathy when he left her alone with him. It's like holding water in a bowl you made with your hands. No matter how sturdy you made the bowl, water would leak from your fingers. Mercy and sympathy leak out from you. But nothing, not even a drop of water, leaked from Reena. Her hands weren't even moist. They were all dried up. There was no water that could leak through those hands. Reena was threatening those guys as much as the man was. Neither was leading the other along. They were doing it together. That was it. Reena is a bad person. My brain cells accepted the idea with applause. After all, I always hated Reena. I just couldn't accept the feeling because my father liked her. But at that moment, I could finally accept it. She's a bad person, just like my mother. She's an existence that will ruin everything and destroy my father's happiness just by being with him. But I wonder if my father would understand that Reena is a bad person if I told him so. My father likes him so much that he would jump over a cliff if she asked him to. He thinks everything she does or says is great, and he interprets everything about her in a positive way. He protects her and praises her without her asking him to. I'm not a kid anymore. I understand how a woman can tame a man. It's different from love. Love is about trying to build a relationship. Taming is just a way of satisfying the lust to dominate. She's just trying to make him into her slave. Women can deceive men. Even my father. They can use dirty methods to ensnare men like they're following a manual. It's the weak point all men are born with. Even with a strong will, they can't resist it. That's why we hate those women who exploit that weak point to deceive men. That's why I couldn't bring myself to like Reena. For the sake of argument, let's assume I acknowledged an unreciprocated love like that. That would only be as long as it was love. If it wasn't love, if it was just a method to threaten and squeeze money out of him, I would never forgive her. I remember the conversation at the coffee house. Reena said that my father is a big spender. In fact, I think he spends more money without hesitation than before he met Reena. I was happy that he started to regain an interest in going out into the world again, but now I don't know whether I should be happy or not. He controls the money of the Ruger family overall. There's anxiety the grocery shopping. He often gives me his bank book so that I can withdraw money. Because of that, I know where he keeps his bank book, his personal seal, and other important stuff. I really like the idea of having a personal seal for your family to sign paperwork rather than a signature. I think that's much better. Especially because my signature is a mess. It's just, and it's gotten better since I changed my name, because I sort of changed my signature to match my new name so that it actually looked changed, but still. They're in one of his drawers, which he usually locks. I know where he hides the key, and I know the combination of the cash box inside the drawer. He might be coming back soon, so I felt a little nervous, but I had to make sure. I opened the cash box, which had some bank books, personal seal, stamps, and unused postcards. I removed everything from the cash box to get at the bank books. Then I found something new. On the bottom of the box was a bundle of new $10,000 yen bills. Its thickness wasn't something I could ignore. There was also a paper wrapper that looked like it had been bundling the bills. The wrapper had a stamp that said it was a bundle of 1,000,000 yen. He usually kept some cash at home because it was troublesome to go to the bank every time he needed money, but it was usually around 100,000 to 200,000 yen at most. He's never kept such a big amount of money at home before because he knows it's unsafe. The extraordinary amount of 10,000 yen bills was abnormally intimidating. I tried to open the bank book, but my fingers got numb all of a sudden. A part of me was trying to deny the things I heard at the coffee house. It wasn't because I wanted to defend my father, or even Reena. It was because I didn't want to believe my father was the husband in Hinamizawa the blackmailers were talking about. I opened the bank book. The last time I saw it was about 2 or 3 months ago. It shows countless withdrawals since that day. I probably wouldn't normally understand what those numbers meant, but I felt in that moment as if the 10 different digits were speaking to me. They were a series of cruel digits. It starts with some understandable expenses that I assume represents dinners or something, but then the amount of suddenly becomes nice round numbers, like a 5 or a 10. I can tell by looking at the dates he withdrew money that he wanted to have a certain amount of cash on hand when he went out with Reena. Among those expenses, a big number appeared all of a sudden. It was too much money to spend on a date. Hundreds of thousands of yen. I looked at the date of the withdrawal and I traced it back in my memory. I remembered, around that time, Reena was talking about moving into a new apartment. I know the market rate of rental apartments in Okonomiya. You need to put down 2 safety deposits and 2 payments of key money in order to rent an apartment. That amount of withdrawal sounded reasonable now. He paid the whole down payment for her new apartment. After that, big numbers appeared one after another. I could tell they were congratulatory gifts for her new apartment or something. The numbers got bigger and bigger. It looked like at first he was withdrawing only the amount of money he needed, but then he started withdrawing big amounts all at once because he knew he was going to use it someday anyway. The change meant only one thing. He lost his sense of the value of money. The balance kept going down, and I started feeling anxious about what was going to happen if he started spending money like that. But then I saw a deposit of a big amount of money into the account. Where did that money come from? There was only one thing I could think of. I opened the other bank book. It was easy, like a puzzle for kids. It was like playing with an easy jigsaw puzzle that comes with huge pieces that you don't even have to put together to see what the whole picture looks like. My father was using money from his time deposits. In other words, the settlement my father paid my mother when she divorced him. To him, it's cursed money. I'd understand if he wanted to use it to get a new love, but that was just an excuse to use the money from his time deposits. Money is money. Even though it's his divorce alimony, it's still important money for our future. Even though it's cursed money to him, that doesn't mean he can waste it. Big expenses started appearing one after another. There are many expenses, upwards of 6 digits. For some reason, I could immediately tell they were buying for buying electric appliances and furniture. He must have been buying everything she asked him to. If from the beginning Reena was only seeing to check if he could end up being a big catch, she must have been trying to find out how much money she could squeeze from out of him. My father bought her anything she wanted, no matter how expensive it was, so she probably thinks of him as the perfect catch now. The numbers in the bank book told me so. The simple numbers and dates on the bank book had started talking to me. Around the time he started withdrawing big amounts of money, Reena started coming to the house more often, and she also started spending the night. To Reena, my father was at first just a guy who spends big money, but around that time she landed her big catch. My father used to refer to her as my friend in Okonomiya at first, but he started referring to her as Reena around that time. This is partially his fault, but he was betrayed by his beloved wife and he was feeling hurt and down for a long time. It's also partially my fault. That's why I didn't want to blame him. And he's not that good looking either. There's no way he's immune to women. He must have not been able to resist an attractive lady who aggressively approached him when he was feeling down. He's crazy about Reena, and he can see nothing other than her. I can't blame him, because Reena trained him to be that way. Turn the audio down a little bit. I put the bank books and other things back into the cash box. This cash box is just like my father's heart. Reena is eating up the contents. What should I do? Think, Reina Ryugu. Should I tell him about Reina's schemes? No, that probably wouldn't do anything. The whole point of taming an animal is that it won't run away from its owner even when the door is wide open. My father probably won't leave his cage even if I open the door. Should I confront Reena about her plot when he's with her? The results would be the same. Reena would run behind his back. He'd probably try to protect her. If she pressed her breast against his back, he's protected no matter what. I couldn't make this a problem between me and him. First of all, I was trying to get rid of Reena for his sake. If we got mad at each other, it would give the advantage to Reena. It'd be like I was putting myself into her trap. Then that meant I couldn't make him do anything. If I couldn't make him break up with Reena, I'd have to talk to Reena directly. So instead of making my father fight, I'd have to fight in his place. But how? That guy, Kaisa, who was with Shion today, seemed to know the man Reena was with. I wonder if I can somehow meet him again. He looked scary, but I was introduced to him as a friend of Mion. Mion has a lot of power around here. There's no way he would treat me badly. I wondered if he could tell Reena and the man to back off from my father. That'd help me a lot. But I didn't know how I could meet him again. I could ask Mion for help, but I didn't want her to know about my situation. This is a problem with the Ryugu family. This is nobody's business but mine. Yes, this is a battle I'd have to fight alone. I regretted my parents' divorce. I wept about the tragedy I could have prevented if I tried. I wasn't going to weep this time. I was going to let the chance slip away. This time I would fight for my happiness. Oh, Reina. Oh dear. Poor. I just want to hug her. Dear Ritz Komamiya, Executive Housing Corporation. Attached estimate. We thank for your past visits and inquiries to our office. We've included the estimate for the property you inquired about. Basic information. Property name, Palace of Versailles, room 707. Property code, 14M1421. Property type, modern condo. Layout, 2LDK. I believe that means 2 bathrooms, living room, dining room, and kitchen. Address, Shishibono City, Koiwacho, Tucho. Transportation, XXX line, Gogura Station, 5 minutes on foot. Cost, 49,800,000 yen. Maintenance fee, 20,000 yen. Other, southeast corner room, elevator floor. Condominium fitness club membership included. Thank you for your interest in this property. The area around Gogura Station is prime real estate zone for luxury condos. Along with future planned developments, the real estate values in and around the Gogura Station are expected to rise, and this property is not an exception. As a result, many prospective buyers are interested in this property. Hence, we'd like for you to understand the selection process for this property will be done via lottery. Also, we offer celebrity member preferential treatment, granting highly improved chances through additional lottery entries. Please feel free to inquire with our agents for more details. Executive Housing Corporation. Celebrity Account Manager, Kawabata. Scummy is what it is. The whole business. Everything about this is just scummy. I've got fucking alright stuck in my head. It's really annoying. Alright. Alright. Oh, you're talking about Kasai. He's Shion's watchdog. A watchdog? Really? Yeah, he is. Shion tends to do crazy things, so she needs to have someone watch her all the time. I think you're as crazy as Shion. Keiichi cut into the conversation. They ended up making a lot of noise, teasing each other like they always do. Mio made it sound like that man, Kasai, is some sort of territory boss in Okonomiya. It wouldn't be easy for me to meet him in person, but because he's Shion's watchdog, I might be able to find a way. The problem, though, is that I don't have any connection to Shion either. We hang around every once in a while whenever she comes to Hinamizawa, but I've never called or visited her. I have no idea how we can meet. Even if I could meet Kasai, there's no guarantee that he'd help me. He seems like the kind of person who doesn't like to gossip about others. He told me about Reena at the coffee house only because Shion pushed him to. Plus, the situation could grow worse very quickly while I waited for the chance to meet him, so any help he might offer could come too late. I remember Kasai told me that, as a next step, Reena usually uses her partner to threaten a catch. That would signify the end of her performance. They're going to take all of my father's money. I wasn't feeling a sense of crisis yet, but that time might be coming very soon. Even as I was at school, taking class peacefully, next achievement, by the way, is find an easy solution to a big problem. That's why I'm intrigued. Even as I was at school, taking a class peacefully, that man might already be at the house right this moment, threatening my father to hand over his bank books. Once I become anxious, I get more and more anxious. I could feel a big pressure on my chest as if the ceiling had collapsed on me. I'm so bored. Life is too peaceful. Keiichi talks to me, yawning. Is that so bad? I'd love to have a peaceful life that'd bore me. I don't. I wish some kind of big event would happen, like aliens coming to attack us or something. I'd not like saying I'd like to have something like that every week, but at least something at the end of every month or so. Oh, and that doesn't include our monthly test. If aliens really did come, destroyed the Earth and burned all of Hinamizawa, would you be satisfied? Would you? No, that's not what I mean. I'm just saying that I want some kind of excitement because I'm so bored. He has no idea of what I've been going through, of course, and that's why he says that. But I was still irritated by his insensitivity. I couldn't understand why he wouldn't be satisfied with such a peaceful life. He never has to doubt that today and tomorrow will be as fun as yesterday. I was all too aware that boring and peaceful days could be destroyed all of a sudden. I knew that boring and peaceful days could come to an end all of a sudden because your mum wanted to divorce your dad. I knew that you could feel like you didn't belong anywhere in your own house because your dad has gotten a new girlfriend. Even so, you had to repeat the same kind of day over and over again. That's why I wanted to live every day happily in order to be prepared when the world comes to an end. I'm jealous of you, you know? You look so happy all the time. I wish I had that kind of skill. Jealous of me, huh? How'd you do it? How'd you live every day not being bored but being happy? If it really is a skill, I'd love to learn how. That's easy. All you need to do is realise. Realise what? There's no way he could realise it. And it was probably better that he didn't, because that meant he was truly happy. You just need to realise that your happy days will one day come to an end. The three of us walked home from school like we always did. Mion said goodbye to us at the corner of the street where she took a separate way home. She walked away waving, but I chased after her. Mion. Huh? What? Mion apparently thought she dropped something and she looked around to see what she dropped. I almost forgot to tell you. I saw Shion and Kasai yesterday at a coffee house, and I picked up something that Kasai dropped if he was there. Of course, he hadn't dropped anything. I was lying. If I could meet him, I'd just show him whatever, tell him I thought it was his, and apologise for my mistake. Oh, well, thank you then. I'll send it over to him in that case. I'd like to give it back to him in person. Eh? Mion looked surprised. I couldn't blame her. I'd met him only once. It's weird to want to give something back to a person, someone you barely know. Well, that's alright, but why? He had this cute beard and these cute sunglasses. So crazy about cute things. Could I fudge my true intentions with my cute mode? I tried it anyway. Mion usually takes words at the face value, and indeed she seemed to buy it. Please don't pull out his beard and take it home with you. Do you think I can meet him? Well, I have no idea if he's busy or not. I'll ask him when he's coming to Hinamizawa next. I needed to know when as soon as possible. Of course, I wasn't going to say I wanted to meet him today, but at least tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. What are you guys doing? Hoo-hoo. Seems like Reina found a new love. Oh. Really? How interesting. I want to hear about it too. I didn't want her to leave it up in the air, so I told her, I think I should give it back to him as soon as possible. I'm sure he's looking for it too. Mion said, okay, twice, and walked away waving. I hadn't yet thought about how I was going to ask for help when I would meet him. He seemed to be in a higher position than Reena and her partner. If he agreed to help me, it'd be very encouraging. But there was a possibility he'd tell me he didn't want to interfere in other people's private matters. He could just say the whole thing was another love triangle between a father, his daughter, and his lover. Bye, Reina. See you tomorrow. Yeah, see you tomorrow. I said goodbye to Keiichi and walked home alone. After Keiichi was gone, everything went quiet and my head became clear. What I needed at that moment was quiet time to think about what I should do from then on. I shouldn't depend on Kasai to solve my problems. He'd most likely decline my request, so I'll have to think about some alternatives. It's probably better that I just do that. A love triangle between a father, his daughter, and his lover. Those words bothered me because I've seen an unhappy triangle like that before. That sort of thing had happened to Satoshi. Satoshi experienced it last year. He fought for his sister in a triangle with his aunt. It was the same situation as mine. I'm trying to protect and fight my father. Satoshi fought alone. Nobody helped him. All I did for him was give him my sympathy and compassion. I didn't think I could do anything more than that. I felt sorry for him, but I didn't really help him out. Irresponsibly, I tried to cheer him up, and I probably told him something I thought would make him feel better, but that hurt him instead. I recently realised how much I hurt him with my insensitivity, because Keiichi had just hurt me the same way. I'm going down the same path Satoshi went last year. I feel like I'm experiencing deja vu, an unusual repetition. Would that mean that I'd be the one who gets demoned away this year? I should be okay. I wasn't thinking about running away from Hinamizawa. Was I? I wasn't thinking about running away from Hinamizawa, but I thought about running away from home many times. That's why I made the place I could escape into the garbage dump. The dump happened to be in Hinamizawa, but what if it wasn't? Running there would be the same thing as running away from Hinamizawa. I shouldn't think like that. Oyashiro-sama will get mad at me. Oyashiro-sama is really scary. I saw flickering lights in my head. Oh no, every time I tried to remember that time, my mind would stop working properly. I remembered the vivid colours of my psychoactive drugs. The flickering lights and clouds started spreading in my head. They're so bright and annoying. Don't try too hard to remember. Don't try too hard to remember. No, no, no. Couldn't stop the flickering lights in my head. I couldn't have that feeling. I had to fill my heart with another feeling. Yeah, there was no time for those crazy flickering lights in my head. I had to think about what I should do when Kaisa declined my request for help. I had to protect my father from Reena and that bad man. Wait, why was I still calling her that? Reena is Reena. Reena, Reena, Reena. She's a bad person who deceived my father and tried to bring us happiness. Bad people bring bad things into the world without even doing anything. They're different from the other 90% of people who aren't bad. If you let them loose, they'll even ruin the people around them. When you have one bad tangerine in a box, it spreads its fungus to the other tangerines around it. That's what bad people are like. I couldn't remember how Satoshi resolved his triangle last year, but I could still see the flickering lights in my head. They're still flickering. 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 Whenever Reina gets into repetition mode, I get worried. Just as the swell of flickering lights were making me dizzy, I saw my house. I also saw Rena's scooter parked by the side of the gate. The moment I saw the flickering lights disappeared and I regained control of myself. Rena spent the night last night. She told me she had to work today in the evening, so she should be leaving soon. But I didn't want to be around her, even for a little while, until she left. I said, "I'm home," real loud, rushed into the house, pretended that my friends were waiting outside, and rushed out the house. But Rena stopped me. "Hey, Reina, you're home." Hello." This was the first time I thought Rena's smile was ugly. Only stood to reason. I'd realised the scheme she was hiding behind the smile. "Your father and I went to Gogoro for lunch today. There is a restaurant there that makes delicious Indian curry." My father poked his head out the living room and says, "I want to go there again next time we go. I really like that curry." I wondered if he meant with me the next time or with me and her. Anyway, I hate it when Rena says to your father, "We brought you some curry home from the restaurant. Try it later. It's very good. Have you heard of that restaurant, Reina?" I did know the restaurant she was talking about. I saw it in a magazine. It's a new restaurant that just opened recently. I used to remember that it was an expensive restaurant. The amount of money they spent on the take-home curry alone must have been enough to cover the cost of all our dinners for several nights. Since I was aware of what was in the bank books, it was hard for me to stay calm. "I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Reena." "Reina, your father and I would like to talk about something with you." "I'm sorry, but my friends are waiting for me, so I have to go. We're going to go treasure hunting at the garbage dump again." "You really like treasure hunting, huh? I'd like to go there sometime." "Well, I've got to go. Bye." Every time Reena moved her head or arms, the scent of her perfume struck my nostrils. I hate the smell of her perfume, so I couldn't stay there a second longer. I rushed out the house and started running to get away from her perfume. The rubber band inside me, the one called Reina, was stretched all the way to its limit. I'm pretty sure I'd explode and go crazy if the rubber band broke. I didn't want to feel like that inside my own house. My house was supposed to be the place where I could open my heart freely. I ran away. I ran away from there. I ran farther and farther away from there because it was no longer a place I belonged. It's not that I had a destination in mind. I was just running away. I was running to escape a place where I did belong. Didn't I decide to fight against that woman? Didn't I decide to fight against her either by myself or with my father? But then, once I saw her fake smile, a chill ran up my spine. It was like I picked up a stone, found a carpet of bugs underneath it, and put it back on the ground in a hurry. I rushed out the house as fast as I could. Did I want to fight, or did I want to run away? Was I just choosing to spend a peaceful time at my hideout, believing that tomorrow would be the same as today? I couldn't do that. I didn't know when they'd spring their trap. Couldn't afford to waste any time. I knew that deep down. I knew that, but I just wanted to run away. I couldn't stop myself from running, and so I did. At times like this, the mattress in my hideout would feel so soft. That I knew. Sorry if I'm a bit low energy, I'm really tired, but I don't want to get a soda because bad idea. The cries of the Higurashi were soothing to my ears. They sounded as soft as my mattress. They were like music. They didn't force any feelings upon me. They cried as if to tell me to just be who I am. It was always so quiet here that I immediately noticed the purr of an engine coming closer. People used to come here and make a lot of noise during the dam conflict, but now nobody really comes here. This is a place forgotten. So it was rare to see somebody come through here at all. I sat on the roof of an abandoned car and waited for the intruder to go away without looking their way. But the purr of the engine stopped. I'm not stupid. If it stopped, I knew exactly who it had to be. I heard the person calling me, but I ignored it once. The person came closer, making it harder for me to ignore her, and she called my name again. I turned around this time. Reena. Reina, you're hard of hearing? I'm sorry, I guess I couldn't hear you because of the wind. Ha. She seemed to buy my poor excuse. She smiled and said, yeah, it happens sometimes. Are you here alone? Where's your friend? I'm playing here alone. Well, it's rare for a girl your age to play alone. Reena stretched and looked around across the huge garbage dump. I still can't believe people throw so much scrap out here. Did you know? There used to be a place in the Hero Cycle where people threw tons of abandoned cars without wheels. I wasn't interested in Reena's old story, but I pretended to listen and nodded. She didn't take this road to go back to Okanomiya. I guess she knew I'd be here and came by to see me. What did she want? It was obvious she was just trying to make conversation. She probably took it personally when I avoided her earlier, which must be why she was here to button me up. It'd be better for her not to have any conflicts with the daughter of the man she's seeing, no matter what the intention of seeing him is. In that sense, it was a reasonable action for her to take. When I listened to her old story, all I could think about was when she was going to leave. Didn't I have to fight against her? Didn't I decide to fight against her? Didn't I find out her plot at the coffee house in Okanomiya? Didn't I find out that this woman is squeezing money out of my father when I looked inside his cash box? I know who you are. Please leave my father alone. How easy it would be if those two sentences could solve the problem. She'd probably deny it. Even if I told her about what I heard her at the coffee house, I have no evidence of a plot. If she said she did it because the vulgar man was threatening her, there would be nothing I could do. But I know this woman is a bad person. I know something horrible will happen in the near future if I waste time like this. A strange, tense feeling started coming over me, but I didn't know how to let it out. As the feeling started running high, I became unable to stand the smell of her perfume. I wanted to put a certain distance between me and her, so I climbed down the slope of the scrap heap. I kept going down and down the slopes of the garbage dump. When I turned around, I saw her coming down as well, muttering. Was she following me? In order to run away from her, I started running down the slope all the way to the bottom, went behind some trash piles and arrived at the front of my hideout. My escape was meaningless. Not only was she going to catch up with me eventually, all I did was let her know the way to my hideout that nobody was supposed to know about. I wanted to make sure she never saw my precious hideout. I was about to leave, but then she appeared. Wow, this is cool. It's like a secret base. This is my secret hideout. Nobody comes here, and nobody can hear us. I felt strange hearing myself say that. So this is your secret hideout, huh? I'm honoured to be invited here. She must have thought I told her my secret because she was worth sharing it with. She looked happy. She found the station wagon, looked inside it through the window, and went, ooh, and ah, excitedly. This is a secret place that nobody else knows. It felt like my consciousness was separating from my body, like I was floating. But it didn't feel good, like when I drink amazake. It felt more like being car sick.
What's amazake when it's at home? To Google. Amazake. It's low alcohol Japanese fermented drink.
I felt like I was going to throw up. My brain was probably secreting some chemical in order to avoid facing the reality that I'd have to stay with this woman, that I couldn't face away from her. But even if my brain tried to avoid recognising it, the reality in front of me wouldn't change. Reina. Yes? What's wrong? Are you feeling okay? Yes, I'm fine. I inhaled fresh air and pulled my consciousness back to reality. I didn't feel like throwing up anymore, but I still felt off balance. I leaned onto a scrap of garbage to keep my balance. I like you, Reina. Do you like me? What are you talking about all of a sudden? I said that because I didn't want to say that I like her. Been seeing of your father for quite a long time now, and we've been talking about many things, you know? I need you to stop feeling like this. Get up, Reina. I'd heard something like this before. A part of me was trying to understand what this woman was trying to say, but another part of me was trying not to. I felt as if her words were bouncing around in my head, and I started having a headache. We had a serious talk about our future the other day. You know, about our life together and so on. What? You like Uncle Akihito, don't you, Reina? So your father and I, what's going on? Mother? What are you thinking about, Reina and Ryuko? This is an important moment. You're about to have a one-on-one battle with Reena. No, Mum. What about my dad? What about me? I don't want you to divorce him. I don't want you to get remarried to anyone else. No, please don't divorce him. I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not going to let you get remarried. I'm not going to let you get married to my father. What? I don't care if you go out with him, but I'm not going to let you get married to my father. She must have not thought I'd say it straight out like that. She looked stunned. After a while, she broke the silence with a laughter. Thought you might reject me, but I didn't think you'd say it straight out like that. You thought I might reject you? I'm surprised you even noticed that I was doing it. Of course I did. You always ran away whenever you saw me. Thought I didn't know? That's why I hate kids. She frowned, revealing her ugly self. Should have been the first time I saw a face like that, but I wasn't surprised at all. Her face had looked like that to me from the beginning. I wanted to get along with you if I could, at least on the surface, but I guess it's hard to do that now since you hate me so much. What do you hate about me? I'd like to know for future reference. Everything. I hate everything about you. I hate your smell, too. One vicious word came out from my mouth after another. I didn't have wings, but I felt as if I was flying up to the sky. I felt weird and uncomfortable, but also exhilarated. I felt as if I was letting another me use my body. I was in the middle of a disastrous battlefield, but it felt like it wasn't even my business. That's just fine with me, because I hate you too, I guess. I guess we're even. Haha, you little fucking brat. You better shut your little fucking mouth or I'll make you. Never come to my house again. I'll never let you get married to my father. Haha, I don't need your permission, you know. Well, why don't you try and stop your father from remarrying? Let's see what happens. I think you're wasting your time, though. She didn't look intimidated by me at all, and that made me feel a little intimidated in return. Why was she so confident of her absolute control over my father? She had to have more than confidence to be able to act as fearless as this. She must have something tangible. Before I asked her what it was, she told me herself. I'm pregnant. You're lying! I'm not lying. It's true. It's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. It's a big lie. She has to divorce because she got pregnant. She has to get married because she got pregnant. That's a lie. It's a big lie. I'm a Christian, so I can't get an abortion. He'll just have to accept it. Plus, we had sex with marriage in mind. He made me pregnant. If he changes his mind and takes no responsibility, it's going to be a big mess, you know? That was your plan, wasn't it? I overheard it. I heard the conversation you had with that man, Tech-chan, at the coffee house. I know you started seeing my father for his money. I know you call him your husband in Hinamazawa. I know he's just a big catch for you. I know everything because I heard it from Kasai. I know you do badger games too. Oh, you knew? Oh, well, well. Before I knew it, Rena was standing right in front of me. We glared at each other with our faces almost touching. So, Reina, you know everything, and what do you think you're gonna do? Don't come near my father ever again. What if I refuse? You wanted to talk to me at your secret hideout, right? Kind of knew what you wanted to talk to me about. You brought me to your secret hideout where nobody knows and nobody can hear us, right? Yeah, you're right. Nobody knows about this place and nobody can hear us here. Nobody comes here because it's a place forgotten. Our faces were close to each other and noses could almost touch. I knew what I was talking about, but I didn't know what would happen next. I couldn't back down now that I'd come to this point, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I should do. Come on, let's not do this. Let's be friends again. Reena started laughing and slapped me on the back. My expression didn't change and I kept staring at Reena, but I did notice her real intention of putting both her arms around my neck. The tension broke where I stretched thin, and Reena squeezed my neck hard. It was openly hostile, but I didn't realise Reena's evil intentions until she started choking me. Little brat, I'm so close to getting millions of yen. If you at least pretended to get along with me, I would have given you a good allowance. But you just can't keep your fucking mouth shut, can you? You've got some fucking nerve. A brat like you should die. I tried to put my hands up my neck, but I didn't have the strength to do so. I didn't want to kill you, but I'll probably never get as big as catch as your father again, so I don't mind killing you for millions of yen. I was going to disappear after I got that money anyway. This is what you get for talking back to me. The world around me got darker and darker. I'd never known an evil intention like this, namely the intention to kill me. It didn't scare me though. That's because being scared is a feeling that people use to express how they feel when they see wildfire on the other side of a river. People on the island with a wildfire, with their deaths right in front of them, they don't get scared. If I loosened my grip on my hand even a little bit, she'd crush my throat. This was a simple competition to see who was stronger. Reena wanted to get into the most advantageous position, so she tried to push me down to the ground so that she could mount me. If I let her do that, I wouldn't stand a chance. I tried to keep my current position, but I was losing a lot of energy by being choked. It was only a matter of time before Reena could push me down. I lost my balance on purpose. I tried to fall backwards in order to put her off balance. I couldn't hold my breath long enough to keep up that strength competition, so I had no choice but to take the chance. We fell on the ground, tangled together, but as Reena was strongly determined to kill me, she didn't even take her hands away from my neck after she fell. However, my action made Reena loosen a grip on my throat. It wasn't loose enough for me to break free from her grip, but it gave me a few moments to use my hands for something other than stopping her from crushing my throat. If I hadn't taken the chance, I would have been done for. That's why I tried to literally seize my chance. I moved both of my hands on the ground. To seize that chance. I felt a piece of broken glass on my right hand. That was truly my chance to literally save myself from the brink of death. I cut Reena's wrist deep with a piece of glass. Reena tried to endure the pain for a few seconds, but pain that severe for someone so cornered soon broke her will. She let go of my throat to cling to her bloody wrist. I used that moment to roll away from her. Ah, fucking hurts! She screamed, both in pain and also to try and intimidate me again. It didn't work anymore, though. Intimidation only works on the opponent when the opponent is hesitant to fight. When you're already in a fight, screaming like that means nothing more than letting the opponent know how badly you're hurt. I no longer had any hesitation. I'd learned from Reena. She taught me what I have to do in a situation like this. That's right, this is my secret hideout. I know every single piece of junk in here. Maybe I knew that a day like this was coming. Was it just a coincidence that it was there? I'd pulled out a meter-long lead pipe, not at all surprised to see it was there. I raised it up high and brought it back down. There was no way Reena could block this hard and heavy lead pipe with just her arms. She probably tried to block it with the palms of her hands in order to take it from me, but her long nails wouldn't let that happen. Unable to catch it the way she wanted, she broke her fingers and some of her nail came off too. Ah! Her scream made me realise that I had the advantage, an advantage I would have to keep. If I didn't, she'd turn the tables just like I did and choke me to death for sure. Ah! Stop! Stop it! Wait! Reena shielded her head with her arms, but it didn't help. All that would change is that I'd break her arms before I broke her face. I'm serious. Stop it right now. I'm serious too. Die, die, die. You should die. Yeah, that's right. I should have done this a long time ago. I didn't need proof. I didn't have to talk to anybody. That's stupid. That's nonsense. I should have done this a long time ago. If I'd done it a long time ago, my father wouldn't have been deceived. I could have protected him. I could have protected my family. I could have protected my life. I could have been myself. My mother wouldn't have divorced my father. I could have stayed happy. I wouldn't have had to be unhappy. I'm going to recapture my happiness. At this moment, I'm going to win back my happiness. I'm not going to cry for misfortune. I'm not going to give in to the fate of unhappiness. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to seize my happiness. Right now, with my own two hands. Reena tried to run away from me, but as she no longer had the use of her hands, it made it difficult for her to stand up to escape, especially since there were scraps of junk everywhere on the ground. After all, this is my hideout. This is my territory. Nobody can run away from me here. She tried to climb up the slope of the garbage, slipped, fell, and rolled all the way back down. She didn't stand up or move. Her eyes were wide open and her neck was bent at an unnatural angle. I didn't know how to make sure she was dead, so I kept looking at her opened eyes for a while. She could be faking it for all I know, but she didn't close her eyes no matter how long I waited. I scooped up a handful of sand and threw it on her face. She still didn't close her eyes. Thud. The lead pipe slipped out of my hand and hit the ground. When I tried to pick it up, I realised how heavy it was, and I was surprised that I was wielding it as though it was a knife. I was sweating all over. The cold wind felt good on my skin. The cries of the Higurashi were calming me down and healing my soul. Reena was just like a broken dummy now. She'd become a piece of junk. I am the owner of this land of junk, and I defended it from her intrusion. Now she was a resident of this junkyard. I didn't feel bad about killing her. In fact, I felt rather fulfilled that I defeated the evil woman who deceived my father. I started breathing slowly and calmly, and I regained enough energy to analyse the situation. Can I just say, yikes. I had a thing, the bad thing that we think Reina does. Oh, I just had a thought. When Reina goes to the scrap heap with the cleaver, after the festival, is she cutting up Reina's body? Anyway, the bad thing in Onikakushi that we think Reina does, I accidentally spoiled myself as to the true nature of that. So I knew that she was going to be responsible for something this time around, but I didn't realise it was going to be that. And that fucking snuck up on me out of absolutely nowhere. Jesus. Now I gained enough energy to analyse the situation. I'd have to hide her body. First, I had to get rid of her scooter. I climbed up the slope and kicked her scooter down the hill. It rolled down the slope, making a lot of noise and blended in with all the junk as it stopped, like it was there from the beginning. I went back down the slope and started dragging her body to my hideout. It should have taken as much effort as driving a 50-kilogram sandbag, but it felt lighter than that. It was just a sandbag and it brought disaster to my family. I didn't lure her here in order to kill her. Or did I? Maybe I just didn't notice that I had the intention deep down in my heart. But even so, I felt like this was the best and most expedient solution. There was no better solution than killing her. How wasteful to depend on someone to help me, to wait for the day to come when they will. I remembered the murder of Satoshi's aunt that happened last year. I had no doubt that Satoshi murdered her, but I've never been as convinced as I am right at this moment. How could he have saved Satoko other than by killing his aunt last year, at that time, in that circumstance? My situation was much the same as his. How could I have saved my father other than by killing her? If I was planning a murder, I would have been under a lot of pressure and stress. But for better or for worse, the moment came to me out of nowhere. That's why I believe I solved my problem with as little trouble as possible. Now that she's gone, will anyone become suspicious about her disappearance? She was an irresponsible person who skipped work at her own convenience. So I don't think anybody would get suspicious when she disappeared one day. She was a big mess from the start. People will think she went into hiding because she got into deep trouble with someone. I didn't need to fabricate an alibi. All I needed to do was get rid of her body. It took me a while to figure out how to do that last part. Hiding her body would be very risky, but my brain had become so calm that it did some calculations and came up with an answer right away. Yes, this place is still the safest. This is a place forgotten. Nobody comes here. Nobody knows this place is here. I knew that because I'd been spending a lot of time here. Compared to taking the risk of carrying her body to some other place, it was a lot safer to just hide it here. But it wasn't perfect yet. This place wouldn't remain a secret forever. I could hide it here for now, but I'd have to come up with the perfect way to make it completely disappear. It's a lot easier to think about that than thinking about how to make Reena break up with my father. I stuffed a corpse into a broken refrigerator on a trash pile. I wanted to cover the refrigerator with dirt and bury it, but that was too easy. I had to chop the corpse into pieces and make them completely disappear. I felt like it got dark all of a sudden. No, it didn't get dark all of a sudden. I just didn't realise it was getting dark until just then. I could hear thunder from a distance. It might rain soon. I could use some rain. It had washed Reena's dirty blood onto the ground. I should go home. I should think about what I'd do tomorrow. I was going to stay right beside my father until he forgets about her. He might be hurt at first, but we're going to recapture our happiness for sure. A happy, peaceful life. My body was heavy with exhaustion, but I also felt fulfilled because I took a very important first step today. I'll keep taking one step after another. I'm not going to cry anymore. I'm not going to cry until I win back my happiness. Is that better? I'm not going to cry again. Really is a big yikes. That's a rinning yikes from me. You don't need to get remarried. That was the first thing I said after I got home. My father looked stunned. He noticed the sad tone in my voice, and realising that I didn't agree with the idea of his remarriage, he looked down. I understand. I know how you feel, Reina. I should have talked about it with you first, and that woman is lying to you about her pregnancy. Don't talk like that. Reina is. I'll tell you the truth. That woman and a guy called Techan are a team of bad people. She went out with you only because she was trying to get our money. My father didn't get it right away, of course. He looked upset instead because I called her that woman. I should have chosen my words a little more carefully, but I think I told him the truth clearly enough. I told him everything I heard and saw at the coffee house. As I expected, he defended Reena anyway. I was upset, but at the same time it made me certain that there was no other way than to kill her. I felt the pressure on my shoulders lessen for some reason. My father thought he needed my approval for his remarriage, so he held back his anger and put a fake smile on his face instead. Hey Reina, let's sit down with a cup of tea and talk. I'm sure you'll understand once you hear me out. Tamed animal is still tamed, even after the owner is dead. That's okay. I'll open the gate anyway. Even a tamed animal will notice one day that he's no longer in captivity. That's not something that I could teach him. He had to realise it on his own. I couldn't stand his fake smile anymore, so I left the living room. Time healed the pain from the divorce. Time heals any kind of pain, just like how dripping water will eventually bore a hole through solid rock. I did what I could do. Now I'd have to wait. Might be about to sneeze. But the day I was going to wait for came earlier than expected. At midnight of the following day, we had a visitor. It was that Techan man. Teppei? Oh, good. Got loud all of a sudden. At first I thought he came to ask us about Rena's whereabouts, but I was wrong. The real reason Teppei came here was because it was their plan. It was the last stage of their badger game. Rena was probably supposed to be in bed with my father at that time tonight. Teppei must have wanted to show up and catch them sleeping together. Teppei looked around the house, but he couldn't find Rena. He didn't change the plan go. He grabbed my father by his collar and started yelling threats. He showed my father a certificate of marriage to Rena and shouted at him saying, "You got my wife pregnant. How are you going to take responsibility?" My father had no idea she was married. He looked shocked. My father was a short guy who was faint of heart. He just let Teppei do and say whatever he wanted from beginning to end. I looked at them from a distance coldly. The more Teppei yelled and threatened my father, the faster he'd wake up from his bad dream. This was medicine for him. Teppei was cutting out the cancer that I was going to depend on time to do, and he was doing a great job of it. I waited to help my father until I was sure that he'd finally awakened from his bad dream. I told Teppei I had something very important to tell him and took him outside. "So, what do you want? Has Reina come back to Okonomiya since yesterday? As a matter of fact, she's hiding somewhere." "What? I don't get it. Reina told me to take you to her when she came to my house." "Ha! The fuck is Ritsuko thinking?" Teppei followed me without hesitation. We walked in the dark with a flashlight to the place where nobody comes and nobody can hear us, the place forgotten. He asked me many things on the way, but I couldn't answer any of them. I just told him to ask Reena. The way I said it seemed to make him think that Reena was going to betray him and get married to my father for real. Even though he was breathing heavily in a rage, he walked right behind me without any suspicions. I knew this day was going to come very soon, so I was well prepared for it. We reached the place where I originally planned to bring him, and I turned off the flashlight all of a sudden. "Oh, what's going on?" Everyone gets nervous when the only light in the dark goes off. But this is my territory. I didn't need any light. I could feel my surroundings even better with my eyes closed. "Oh, Reena. Oh, Reina." I grabbed the big hatchet I'd hidden in a bush and lifted it up high. "I'm sorry, I guess the battery went out. Hold on a second. Okay, hurry up." I purposely sounded weak and helpless while I raised the hatchet into the air. "Oh, I got a lighter. I'll just fire this baby up." Teppei found a lighter in his pocket and lit it up. He probably couldn't understand the sight illuminated by that small light. He saw a girl lifting up a big hatchet right in front of him. Teppei's eyes went wide. He didn't understand what was going on, but he understood that his life was in danger. And yet he must have been able to think fast enough to deal with it, even though he understood what he should do. Even if he could think fast enough and blocked his head with his arm, it wouldn't have meant anything. I knew Teppei would come to my house eventually. That's why I prepared for that day. I just didn't think that preparation was going to bear fruit tonight. I chose my weapon very carefully. I planned when, where, and how I was going to attack him. And so there can only be one result. The hatchet cut deeply into his forehead. I felt an indescribable vibration through the hatchet when it hit him, and this told me that I broke his skull. He bragged about how good he was at fighting at the coffee house, but he sure went down quickly when faced with a murderous weapon. He was done in a single blow. Teppei slowly fell to his side with a hatchet in his forehead. He looked like a victim in a B-movie. I killed this big guy with just one hatchet. He was probably quite experienced in the world of violence, but I was better than him when it came to killing. Why? Because I'd killed someone before. It's all done now. The bad people who deceived my father and tried to rob him blind are all gone. I did what I had to do in order to protect my life. If I had this much courage and determination when Mum told me about the divorce, I might have killed Akihito. If I did, I would have taken the life of only one. Because I couldn't do it back then, I've had to kill 2 people in the last 2 days. Reina, let's finish it up. There's already a place to hide his body. I took care of everything. My hands were wet, so I shone the flashlight at them. Thought it was blood, but it was just sweat. Even so, I still felt uncomfortable, and shone the flashlight at my hands several times. I did all this in order to be happy. I did all this so I should be happy now. I tried so hard that I got blood on my hands. I wanted to get credit for that from him. Oyashiro-sama, let me ask you a question. I can finally rewind the time back to the day everything started to go wrong, can't I? I'm going to stay in Hinamizawa. I'm going to live happily with my father forever. It's rare to see Reina sleep in class. She isn't the kind of girl who sleeps in class because of staying up too late. She has to be tired from doing housework or something. Everyone seemed to be thinking the same thing. Nobody tried to wake her up, not even Miss Chie. She got up for a few seconds and went back to sleep. She swayed back and forth like she was rowing a boat. But she's in class, so I should wake her up, right? I was about to wake her up, but before my hand touched her, Mio gave me a sign not to. Let her sleep. She must be really tired today. Ah, you're right. I heard a few days ago that Reina lives with her father. She studies during the day, plays a lot after school, and does things around the house after that. I didn't know that. I also didn't know her mother had divorced her father. Mil told me that, and she also told me not to talk about it because Reina's still hurt by the divorce. I didn't even notice she's been through such a tough time. Reina's the kind of girl who doesn't show her pain to others. She always looks happy and cheerful, but she might be acting that way on purpose. Reina told me that happy days will one day come to an end. She told me she knew that firsthand. What could she have been through? I had no idea. It's probably why she tried to spend as much time as peacefully and cheerfully as she could. I must have hurt her feelings when I said I was bored of having happy days. When I thought about it, I felt bad for living off my parents, who are both healthy and happy. For that matter, Toko and Rika lost their parents too. Mion lives with a grandmother, away from her parents, because she needs to learn to be the head of the Sonozaki family in the future. When I realised all that, I felt bad about my situation. You don't have to feel bad about living with your parents. Mion seemed to have read my mind. She said it with a cool expression on her face. A family is the most common community for kids like us to live in, but it's not the only community we have. You mean friends? You're right. Do you think we're as good as family to Reina? Reina does cleaning, laundry, cooking and shopping, so she must be tired every day. She could spend her afternoon taking naps. But she doesn't do that. She spends her afternoon playing with us. That means, how should I put it? That means we're her best friends. So you're saying we're friends with as much value as family to her? Mion looked stunned, as if she didn't understand what I was talking about. I didn't know what friends meant for you until today. But I believe friends are just as important and valuable as family. It's actually very easy to understand. We could join the conversation. The important thing is to have people around you who you can feel comfortable. Sometimes you can call them family, or sometimes you call them friends. It's just a matter of the word around whom you can feel comfortable with. It's just a matter of the word you use. Friends the same as family to you, Rika? Yes, they are. I believe they are to Toko, Mion, and Reina too. I guess that's why we always try to stay together. Do you ever feel lonely when you're with your friends? They're my family, so I'm not lonely. Mio nodded in agreement. Toko was talking with her other classmates, but I'm sure she would nod as well. Reina would too. I'm a little embarrassed. Hi. Been using the word friends, but I don't think I understood its true meaning until today. Friends are more important and irreplaceable than I thought they were. That's like common sense, so you should take this opportunity to remember that. Yeah, I will. I also recommend you don't say that again. Keiichi, you just said something very embarrassing, you know? After all that, Mio still made fun of me. I think I understand a little better why Reina was always so serious about having fun. I wanted to be her best friend, and I want to do my best to be deserving of her effort. Reina snored. Sounded cute. Miss Chie's let her sleep in class, but she couldn't let her get away with snoring. Class president, wake her up, please. Reina, get up. Reina was still half asleep and made a strange noise. Everybody in the class laughed. Reina noticed they were laughing at her, woke up right away and acted like she wasn't sleeping at all. It looked really funny and I burst into a fit of laughter. Outside the window, the sky was blue and the clouds were pure white. It was still June, but it looked like the middle of summer. The perfect weather wouldn't last forever. It would get cloudy and rain all of a sudden. That's why we had to play and raise a ruckus while we still had this perfect weather. The cries of the cicadas sound as if they're laughing at us because we still have some classes left. Ah, damn it, can't wait for school to finish. Keiichi, you look very happy. Does something special happen today? Nothing. Today is today. Tomorrow is tomorrow, right? Yeah. I'm just happy that we have perfect weather today. I don't care about the weather tomorrow. I want to enjoy today as much as I can. When the weather changes, I don't want to regret that I didn't. I learned that from Reina. I learned that peaceful days are the happiest days you can have and that they're irreplaceable. The immortal words of Beyonce, they're irreplaceable. I don't know that song very well. Also, if that's not Beyonce, I am very embarrassed and sorry. To the Googs once more. It is Beyonce. Nice. some reason, when I look up the lyrics, I get it in, words. I got the lyrics in Spanish. For a second, get to thinking, you're irreplaceable. Mion, what are we doing today for club activities? I need something very exciting for the punishment too. That's the spirit I like, Keiichi. Because you insist I'll put you through a living hell. Keiichi, don't provoke her too much. Hey, you scared, Reina? I know you're better than that. Let's show her our true power again. Remember, we haven't brought an end to our last battle. I grinned at her and she grinned back. I do remember that. Okay, let's do it then. Reina, you certainly got me last time. For that, I must pay you back with interest. This is getting very interesting. It's going to be a blast, hee. I can't wait for school to finish. I couldn't wait either, but that time we spent just talking together was also very precious. Yeah, it'd be nice if school ended soon. Get to thinking, you're irreplaceable. Kinda. Fucking Reina, right? The achievement for this is collateral. It is find an easy solution to a big problem, and it's an iron pipe. The achievement for the next one is you're crying right now, so I'm worried about that one. Stoker went to join the children playing in the schoolyard. Since I didn't feel like going, I decided to stay at home. Most likely she wouldn't be back until the evening. When Stoker wasn't around, I had ways of spending time without her. Besides, that was what I wanted to do anyway. I stuck my hand deep inside the pile of winter futons in the closet and pulled one out. Next, I filled a stylish-looking glass with ice. The ice made in the freezer smelled of chlorine, though, and didn't taste good. Store-bought ice would be the best, but since Stoker kept asking me what I was using it for, I stopped buying it. But it might be worth spending time to think about a good excuse for that if it means I'll be able to enjoy it without ever smelling the chlorine. I filled the glass with mineral water, then poured a little bit of another liquid into the glass. Watching the colour mix into the transparent water was a very pleasant thing. This wasn't the right way to drink it, but I liked it that way, and I didn't want to hear any complaints. My body is very convenient, because I can get drunk with only a tiny amount. That's why I dilute that small amount with a full glass of water. And thanks to that, I can enjoy a single bottle for a long time. It wasn't bad if you thought about it like that. I put a cushion on my favourite spot by the window, and with a glass in one hand, I enjoyed the familiar view and soft wind brushing through my hair. A slightly sweet ripened aroma tickled my nose. And just when I was about to start enjoying the atmosphere, the annoying one came back. She didn't like this bad habit of mine, and she complained it every time I tilted the glass. She started nagging me noisily. Shut up, be a little more tolerant. I can drink and eat whatever I want. Can't. Kids aren't supposed to drink alcohol. I tried to ignore her, but she started making a fuss, as if trying to ruin the atmosphere on purpose. There was no way I could enjoy getting drunk like this. I glared at her and threw the drink out the window. Do you want to know why I'm depressed? I'm depressed because the way I die has been decided. It seemed like she finally understood why I wanted to drown myself in alcohol. You don't have to feel down. I get to die instantly, so it's not that scary. My body will be burnt and cut in pieces, but I'll be able to die instantly. But not yet. I know, not yet. When am I going to die again? I think it's the night of the 25th of June. It's about a week after the Higurashi festival. Well, that sounds reasonable. Is it my fault? Of course it is. You serious? Oh. She was the one who asked me, yet she cried when I told her she was right. Ah, geez, she's always so annoying. Let's keep trying. I'm sure I'll get 6 in a row on the next board game. June 25th. I still had 10 more days. I was going to relax and enjoy those 10 days. I still had some wine left too. I want to read this one again. One day I placed my cushion by and prepared to enjoy the weather. She came over. She ruins my time. You look pleased. Oh, that's right. We had lots of your favourite sweets today. Sweets more than anything. I like them too, but I can't eat them like she does. Give me heartburn if I amount the she ate today. Leave her alone for a while. Been making my favourite hot and salted food for the past few days, so she must be quite pleased today. It's a fun day for me too. Just want to enjoy the memory of the excitement I felt today by sitting here quietly enjoying the sunset. A bit cooler than usual. It's not raining soon. People say that when deep sea animals come up to the shallows, that's a sign of a big earthquake or tsunami. We saw a very rare fish that dwells in deep water in the shallows today. Just as the ancient stories of sea monsters say, people hate deep sea animals and tend to interpret them as omens of disaster. Didn't matter if they showed up alive or dead. Ah, I said something interesting just now. Even if they showed up alive or dead, it was an omen of a disaster. Oh, might start raining soon. Yeah, I know, you don't have to tell me. I'll get the laundry. Grabbed a basket and went outside to take the laundry in. Clouds were getting darker. I could enjoy it today. So the annoying one is clearly someone else. A mystery character to whom we have not yet been introduced. I'm really tired, so I'm going to AFK super quickly. Hi guys, did you guys know that I'm incredibly stupid? I'm so dumb. I went to go refill my drink because it's getting kind of empty, and I'm having like Rika-like flash forwards where as I was picking up my drink, I was like, man, my hands are kind of wet because I just filled it up from the tap. I'm probably going to drop this. And then I fucking dropped it. And there goes the rest of my precious orange juice, the last of it. And B, and rather more importantly, it has gone everywhere, all over the kitchen that I spent half an hour cleaning today. So I've mopped it up as best I can. And after the stream, I'm going to have to go back in and mop up the rest of it. And part of the problem is that a bunch of it has fallen, it spilled underneath the microwave, where I can't get to. So I have no idea how I'm going to clean that up. And I don't want to use the microwave knowing that it's got like spilt liquid underneath it. So I don't know what I'm going to do. The reason, by the way, I spent half an hour cleaning is because the letting agency is moving into just under a month, and so the letting agency is coming by tomorrow to take photos of the apartment and also do a video tour. And so I was really careful about cleaning up and making everything tidy, and I did all my dishes and really like tidied up as best as possible. And look what I've done now. Let's continue, shall we? See what can go wrong in Hinawazawa to match what's gone wrong in my life. It had been very hot for the past few days, and the corpses went rotten quickly. Any housewife knows how fast fresh meat can go bad. I know it too. That's why the first thing I did was dismember the corpses. There was only one reason why I needed to dismember them. I had to reduce them to a portable size in order to carry them to a place where they'd never be found. When men see the worst dismembered corpses, they'll probably feel disgusted because they don't cook. But housewives are used to taking the guts out of fish, and they sometimes even see living maggots. They take the maggots off the food or even cook it with the maggots still on. The heat will kill them after all. Women don't tell men what they do in the kitchen because men wouldn't eat the food if they knew. So it didn't really bother me that much to dismember them. I was released from all my problems by killing them. Cleaning up the mess was like nothing to me because I got freedom and regained my happiness. I dismembered the corpses using carpenter's tools like a saw and a hatchet. I'm wearing a black sweatsuit I bought for today because I thought I might get stained with blood. Bloodstains don't show black fabric and I can just throw it away after it's done. I brought a plastic sheet I found in the dump because I thought the blood might spread otherwise. If I did the work on the sheet, I could just burn it after I was done. In the end, dismembering human bodies is no different from preparing food on a chopping board. Definitely gonna have to put a gore warning on this one for the old YouTubes. I was very tired from chopping apart two adult bodies, but I didn't have a problem doing it. I cut off their arms, legs and heads, dividing each body into 6 pieces. I heard before that blades get easily ruined by fat when you cut apart a corpse, so I brought many kinds of tools. And I was right. I didn't have to go forth between here and my house to get another tool in the middle of work. A long time ago, the construction manager was murdered and his body was dismembered here during the conflict. He was cut into 6 pieces in the same way. Well, I had 2 bodies, so there was double that, though. I remember the main suspect was still on the loose and the victim's arm hadn't been found yet. I wonder where he hid it. I'd like to ask him. I smiled dryly. Unlike the arms, legs and heads, the torsos were difficult to take care of. I thought about cutting them into smaller pieces, but I decided against it because I thought it would be troublesome to clean up the guts. I put each piece in a black trash bag and sprayed on lots of deodorant. I wasn't sure if that would help against the smell, though. Many bugs flew around me while I was dismembering corpses. After I finished putting all the pieces into each bag, the bugs were still flying around, but that was just because they could smell the blood. After I cleaned up everything, they were all gone. Now all I need to do is get rid of these 12 black bags. Burning will be easiest, but I don't think I can burn them to ashes without using a cremator. Best way is to bury them somewhere. Other than the torsos, every piece is small enough to fit in my backpack. Could easily carry them without being noticed. I could throw them into the river running through the damn construction site, but if I did that, somebody would find them for sure. I've seen on the news several times before that a bag with a body part in it was found beside a river. Every time I heard something like that, I always thought the murderer was stupid. I thought about dumping them into Onagafuji Swamp, but rotten meat floats. Thought about weighting the bags, but there's no guarantee they'd stay down. So that left me one choice, to bury them. There are many unexplored mountains at the end of the abandoned districts around Yagochi and Takatsuda. It's probably best to bury them somewhere in the mountains. Will it be safe to bury them here in the garbage dump too? It's not perfectly safe. And so I'm going to bury all these bags somewhere deep inside of a mountain in order to completely erase the two of them. My joints hurt since I've been using muscles I don't normally use. I cleaned up the mess very carefully and got into my hideout. While still wearing the sweatsuit, I lay down on the mattress. I washed my hands carefully, but there's still dirt and blood under my nails. I should take a shower later and wash it off completely. When I say things like disposing of corpses, it sounds like I'm the greatest evil of the century. But that's only true if I get caught. What I did isn't a crime as long as I don't get caught. Plus, I didn't do this because I wanted to commit a crime. I didn't do anything wrong. I did this to protect my father's life and mine. People might speak ill of me, but I don't care about them. In the end, I don't think anybody can really pass judgment on my sins. Sins aren't something to pass judgment on. They're something to confess and to atone for. In other words, nobody can measure the weight of a sin other than the person who committed the crime. Do I regret what I did? Do I feel sorry? No. I don't think I did anything wrong. I truly believe there was no better way than killing them. I'm sure it was the right thing, because my life had already started to change since the night I killed them. A few days earlier, I just came home after killing Tepe. My father was cleaning the room Tepe had thrashed earlier. His eyes were swollen. He'd been crying. Reina, where have you been? I was talking with him. I said, Reena will never come to our house again, so please leave us alone. Therefore, he'll never come back. I don't think he'll stay away from us that easily. You should watch out for him for a while too. It's hard to explain to him why Tepe would never come back. I can't tell him he shouldn't worry because I killed him. I grabbed ice cubes from the freezer, put them in a plastic bag and handed it to my father. Here you go, Dad. Your cheeks are swollen. He must have only noticed it just then. Oh, thank you. Don't worry about cleaning up the mess. I'll do it. I'll get the vacuum cleaner. Reina. He called out to me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. They make their living by deceiving people. You were just one of their targets. Reina, did you know who they were? Yes, I found out recently. I didn't tell you because I thought you wouldn't believe me. I'm sorry. He looked down. When he told me about how he wanted to get remarried, I told him that they were bad people and they scammed others with badger games. But he didn't listen to me, so I was right in saying he wouldn't have believed me at all. She took advantage of your pain. I'm a very bad father. Then he started talking about how he met Reena as if trying to absolve his guilt. It was when he was suffering the most and he needed to drink away his sorrow. At a bar he happened to go into, Reena was the one who came to his table. It was her job to be a good listener when her customers talked. Reena must have been a really great listener, and offered words of comfort when he talked about the divorce. If he was emotionally stable, he could have taken it as a kindness that she was only offering at the time, but he was so desperate that he took it the wrong way. After that, the tragedy was inevitable. Hand cream. Her hands are dry, I just had to wash a bunch of orange juice off them. He wanted to believe that it was destiny, and he glamorized everything about her. It'd be easy to laugh at him and say that he was just dreaming. But I don't blame him, because being weak is also part of being human. He had plenty of opportunities to grow suspicious of the questionable spending habits, but my father just read that even that behaviour was an attempt to cheer him up. He bought everything she asked him to when Reena had landed her couch. He shouldn't have brought his love to the house where his daughter lived, but he was crazy about her and he didn't even think about it. I'd forgotten that I was a father first. What was I thinking? He started crying. I held his shoulders gently. It's okay. You realised it in the end. You're my father no matter what. You're the only family I have. He couldn't stop moaning. We held each other and cried together. The next day, my father got up early in the morning. He was already cooking breakfast when I got up, and he told me, "Your father is going to get his act together from today onward." Dad, you should have used salad oil before you cooked them sunny side up. It's been a long time since I cooked. He pried off the burning eggs on the pan with a spatula and he added salad oil to it. It was too late. Doing that just made an even bigger mess. But I didn't say anything because I wanted to eat his eggs. I waited at the table quietly. He put the burnt eggs on a plate and brought them over to me. It looked like he tried to salvage them by adding cheese, but it didn't really work. Still, it smelled good and crispy. It actually stimulated my appetite. Thick cut toast popped out of the toaster. I made coffee with extra milk and sugar because my father liked it sweet. We put everything on the table. It looked terrible, like the cooking class of an elementary school. But to me it was precious because my father tried very hard to make it, wearing the apron. Great, it smells good. I hope it tastes as good as it smells. Might be better that you do the cooking. I feel bad making you eat this. I'll take care of cooking when you take care of getting a job. It had been a taboo to talk about work in our house. He hadn't worked since the divorce. It wasn't only because of the divorce though. He just didn't have to work because the settlement my mother gave him was so huge. Plus, I let him be lazy because I felt guilty about the divorce. But my father cleared his wrongdoing by showing repentance to me, and I also atoned for my sin of not doing anything about my mother by doing what I did the previous night. Now we are free of sin. I'm going to try and find a job. I'm thinking about going to the employment service agency today. Yeah, that's a great idea. It's not money that he wanted. He just needed a normal lifestyle. I'm old and not very strong. I'm a bit worried if I can find a job at all. What kind of job are you looking for? I prefer a desk job, but I don't think a lot of companies would offer one to an old man like me. I can ask my friend. Mina's the daughter of a big landowner in Hinamizawa, so she might be able to find you something. No, it's okay. I'll do it myself. I have to man up, you know. I don't remember the last time we enjoyed breakfast like this. I don't even remember the last time we had breakfast together. For the first time in a long time, the morning light felt refreshing. I wanted to keep enjoying life like this, but unfortunately I had to go to school. I told him that I'd skip school that day, and I wanted him to take me somewhere fun, but he tried to be a good father and said that I had to go to school. Well, I have to go now. Okay, have a good day at school. He followed me to the front door. I was a bit embarrassed for some reason. He talked to me while I was tying my shoes. He followed me here not because he wanted to see me off, but because he wanted to tell me something. I've been sad ever since your mother divorced me, but I realised that I shouldn't be sad because I have you, Reina. I didn't have to feel sad at all. Dad, that's what being a family is about. Yes, you're right. Again, I'm not a good father because I had to learn something that simple and important from my own daughter. Well, I have to go now. Keiichi's waiting for me. Have a good day. Oh, Reina, I'm going to cook dinner tonight. I'll do the grocery shopping on the way back from the employment service agency. Look forward to it. I promise I won't feel like I did just now. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. See you tonight. I left the house. My father stole me off, still in the apron. It was the first step of our new life. I finally regained it. I finally regained everything we lost after we left Hinamizawa. My mother wasn't around, but I didn't feel sad because I had my father. The cries of the cicadas sounded as if they were celebrating my new life. The sunshine was bright and the wind was sending up an ice breeze. The only thing that wasn't nice was the ticking clock. I was late because I spent too much time talking with my father. Keiichi might already be gone. I don't think he'd be waiting for me that long. But he was there anyway. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Sorry I'm late. It's okay. I usually make you wait, so it's okay that I wait once in a while. Really going to be late. We should walk fast, I think. Yeah, let's walk fast. We might have to run at the end. Mion might already be gone. She's waiting for sure. We're friends. We'd never leave each other behind, right? Anyway, did something good happen this morning? What? Why'd you ask that? Well, you look very happy for some reason. I just thought maybe something good happened to you. The good mood I was in must have been too obvious for Keiichi to ignore. I had not only my family, but my friends too. I felt something warm spreading in my heart. Well, I'll tell you what happened this morning. My father made breakfast, but... What? Isn't that the right way to cook eggs? You use salad oil for making salads, don't you? What? I have to tell everyone you just said that. I'd have used olive oil, but YMMB. What did you say? Those rude remarks are unforgivable. Fine, bring it. If you're saying that, then you're willing and ready to throw down, aren't you? Hey, what's going on? Stoko, Keiichi, why don't you place an outside bet on our club activities today? It'll be fun. Mion, what's an outside bet? What is it? An outside bet means what it says, that Stoko and I place a bet on each other outside the game. The one who plays worse than the other has to suffer an extra punishment besides the normal one. That means I get to see one of you suffer no matter who loses today. So what do you say, Stoko? That sounds like a wonderful idea to me. Keiichi will take a punishment for being the lowest ranked in the game, and another punishment for losing to me. How wonderful. Great, I like your spirits, Stoko. Alright, let's play today's game with our outside bet. It's more fun to think about punishments than to think about the game itself. Sure is. Can't wait to see how miserable Stoko's gonna look after she takes her punishment. Keep dreaming, Keiichi. Ow! Take that! Stop it! Ah! Stop fighting, you two. The game hasn't even started yet. Miss Chia opened the door and came in. Take your seats, everyone. Let's start homeroom and then you can all go home. Everybody headed to their seats. Mion. What? I'm sorry to ruin the mood, but I have to go home after school. I have things to do again today. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry that you have to go. Are you busy with housework or something? Yeah. Well, this old man has no right to stop you when it comes to housework. I don't do housework myself. Our housekeepers do. You should help them sometimes. It'll be good training for married life. Don't worry about that. I already have the kind of skill, to be a good wife. Mia looks like the kind of girl who tries to stay away from chores as much as possible, but she can actually do anything. That's just who she is. She went through hard times to learn those things, but she acts like she learned them without any struggle. That's also who she is. I like that about her. What? You going home, Reina? Then you won't see Keiichi go to the teacher's office wearing an embarrassing uniform. Oh, what a shame. It's going to be fun. Pity you have to miss it. Yeah, I'm sorry. You went home right after school for housework yesterday too. Did something happen? Yeah, kind of. It might take me a few more days. Well, then I guess you can't join us for a while. Maybe. I'll try to finish as soon as I can. Can we help out with the thing you have to do? If it's something like carrying on old furniture, let me know. I can help with that. Are you redecorating your house? This old man can bring lots of help for that. Oh, I have an idea. We can make a game out of helping her out with the housework. At this rate, the person who doesn't end up helping her will be the winner. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate it. Well, it seems like there's nothing we can do. Therefore, I announce Reina Rugu's withdrawal from the front lines as of today. I order you to take a rest so you finish doing your housework and to return to the front as soon as you've regained your strength. Well, there are many games before. Oh, can you play Mahjong, Keiichi? Yeah, my dad sometimes forces me to play Mahjong with him as his friends from work. Oh, of course, we are good at Mahjong as well. After that, they fooled around and made a lot of noise, just like they always did. I looked at them and reminded myself that I'd always have a place to return to. I left the classroom with a smile. I was going to Yagoichu in my bicycle. I had to find a place to bury the bags with the play body parts. Hopefully I could finish burying all of them today before it gets dark. With that, everything would be over and done with. I don't like that the back of the tiles are made of bamboo. You guys haven't marked them, have you? I wouldn't be too sure. Keiichi, you sound traumatized by the experience you had with our card game. Well, I think there are some scratches on them. The cheap ones, you know. But it's more fun when there's an element of doubt, don't you think? Hehe. Mion, how many reds do you want to use? 6? Rika sounded professional and it scared me. Oh well, I should start by checking the tiles. Playing Mahjong with my family is different from playing it as a club activity. I have to be cautious. It's possible that one tile is missing or that there's one extra of a particular tile in here. I don't do things like that. Still, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. Let's see... Let's put them all face up on the table and check them before we start the game. Come on. Everybody flip the tiles face up. One dragon is missing. One low pin and one low soul are missing too. Oh, one low man is missing too. What's going on? There are so many missing tiles. Oh, I remember. Hold on a second. Mion hit the palm of her head with a fist, moved a chair aside and stuck her finger into a gap in the floorboards. She then pulled a tile out of there. There you go, this is the dragon. I don't remember where I put the other 3. Wait, Mion, why are there so many tiles hidden in the classroom? Well, you know. She must have hidden the other 3 tiles somewhere in the classroom and forgot where. We couldn't play Mahjong with 3 tiles missing. I suggested playing another game, but Mion insisted we had to find them and suggested making that treasure hunt our game. As long as I can make Keiichi suffer a punishment, I care little as to what kind of game we play, but to be honest with you, I prefer to play something more interesting than that. I agree. Plus, you're not sure they're in the classroom, right, Mion? No, they're here. Or maybe this old man might put them in his pockets and left them by the washing machine. I don't remember. I recommend checking the total number of tiles after we play Mahjong with Mion next time. Everybody except Mion was in agreement. What? You don't want to play our classroom tile hunting game? In other words, cleaning up the mess Mion made so she could cheat. Do it yourself. Don't use our club activities for personal reasons. Fine, fine. So what do you want to do? We can't play Mahjong now. What are we playing then? Does anybody have any ideas? As our club president, Mion usually decides what we'll play. I couldn't just come up with something on the spot. While we were all thinking, Mion hit her palm with a fist, just like she did earlier. I got an idea. If you don't want to hunt for tiles, let's do a real treasure hunt. What name comes to your mind when I say treasure hunting? Reina, right? You mean we go to the garbage dump at the dam construction site? I don't really go there often, but the place is large. I've heard that the place is haunted by the ghost of the man who was murdered there. His body was cut into pieces. We shouldn't go near. A ghost? I like it. That's even better. Didn't know there was a rumour like that. I do know that someone was murdered there and the main suspect is still on the loose. He hid the arm of the victim and it hasn't been found yet, right? There's a rumour that the construction site manager, the victim of the dismemberment murder case, became a ghost and that he's wandering around the place to find his missing arm. Rika, you don't like ghosts? Don't tell me you're still scared of ghosts. I'm a shrine maiden. I can see them even if I don't want to. Wow, you can see ghosts? If I remember right, I've heard those who can see ghosts see them as naturally as they do us. That's utterly ridiculous. Been living with Rika for a long time, but I've never seen anything like that. That's just because you can't see them. But I can. For example, when you're asleep in my bed, I always see... Mipa. Rika, why do you smile like that? What were you about to say? What do you see when I'm sleeping? Stoko, I feel sorry for you. You can pretend you're not scared of ghosts during the day, but I'm pretty certain you get scared when it gets dark. I guess our mystery is a ghost, maybe. I'm gonna have to make a silent phone call tonight just to scare the hell out of her. Including myself. I don't think anybody really likes going there. Reina's the only one who does. If Reina finds a ghost when she's in her cute mode, she might take it home with her. That's so true. She'd say, "How I'm taking you home with me." It was so easy to imagine that all of us laughed. Well, let's do it. Let's go treasure hunting. If you find a ghost, you win. You get a point if you find the victim's missing right arm, and you also get a point if you find anything that Reina would like. We can show what we found to Reina later, and we'll let her decide who's the winner. Ew. Thoughts? I just had them. Oh, I can't wait to win the game and make Keiichi take double the punishment. Hey, Stoko, are you sure you want to win? That means you're going to see a ghost. Ooh. Stop it. You're getting on my nerves. I don't want to go there. I'm scared of ghosts too. What do you mean you're scared of ghosts too? What's you referring to? I'm not scared at all. Hey, Keiichi, stop doing that. Let's go, everyone. Let's find the ghost. Whoa. And it'll be over with. Everything will be over and done with. Yes, it will be over when the Higurashi cry. And now I see. So that's it. Reina finished making her confession. There was no applause or curtain call. It was a quiet and lonely stage that Reina performed on alone. I think I'd forgotten to blink since her confession started. Everybody else seemed to be feeling the same way. Reina looked at us like she was a teacher waiting for questions from her students. We noticed that she was imitating what Miss Chia does at the end of class when we all smiled bitterly. I went to Higurashi earlier to find a place to bury these bags. It was hard to pick a place because I wanted to make sure nobody would ever find them. I even thought about burying them in my backyard because it might be the safest, but after I thought about it, I knew that wouldn't work. My father might start planting vegetables one day and he might find them, so it's better that I bury them somewhere in the mountains. Plus, I don't even want to let her near my father, even though she's dead. I felt like I did something very bad. Reina's plan was going smoothly. If I'd only hunted for the mahjong tiles instead of insisting on doing something else, this wouldn't have happened. When I looked at the others, they all seemed to be regretting their actions too. If Mion hadn't come up with the idea to play at the garbage dump, if Stoko hadn't found the broken refrigerator, if Rika had convinced us not to go, Reina could have had a few more days and she could have gotten rid of these trash bags that would never have been found. Then what would have happened next? Nothing. Everything would have remained the same. We could have kept having happy and peaceful days. Reina had been through a hard time, but she'd been forcing her face into a smile for us. The fake smile was supposed to become a real smile one day. None of us was supposed to notice that Reina was going through a hard time. After a while, Reina was supposed to be able to forget the better memory of killing these two, and she was supposed to be able to live as if nothing had ever happened. I developed an issue where the word forget for me, I always say forget, like I'm Australian or Kiwi or one of those. So, there's certain words I keep going to that accent and I don't know why, because I only know one Australian person and I'm sort of very ready in voice with her, so it's just, whether I want it or not, forget. As if nothing had happened. But now, all of her effort, all of her courage, has been ruined. I know killing people is a bad thing to do. I didn't want to do this, and I don't want to do it again in the future. But I believe this was the best solution, and I also believe I didn't do anything wrong. I just applied my utmost efforts when God presented me with the equal opportunity to regain my happy, peaceful life. Saying we should accept suffering and live an immaterial life without desires is nothing more than pretty words from those who have plenty. Nobody can belittle my efforts. Rather, they should praise me for what I did. They should celebrate for me. Reina Ryugu fought for her own fate, and she won. I don't know why I did it, but I interrupted her. I shouldn't have, but I thought I needed to tell her this, so I did. But Reina, why didn't you tell us? What do you mean? We're friends, aren't we? Friends are always on your side without exception, no matter what. I thought friends were like family. If you told us about it, we could have helped you. Then you wouldn't have had to get your hands dirty. What Reina told us made me sad. I couldn't help myself from saying that to her. Reina told us straight that she did the best she could. She told us that right to our faces. That's the same thing as saying that she didn't need us in order to do the best she could. Keiichi, you can say that now, but... Wait, let me finish. I believe that friends are there to share both happiness and hardship. If you came to talk to us, I believe we could have done something different, and we could have led you to a better future. A better future? There is no better future than what I have right now. This is the best possible future. It's a lie. My shout seemed to scare her a little. I knew that Reina didn't believe this was the best possible future. She just didn't have any other choice. If she'd had other choices, she definitely wouldn't have chosen this one. I know you don't believe that, because you're crying. What? Who's crying? Me? Not crying? Yes, you are. You've been crying the whole time. Haven't you noticed it? In fact, I didn't see any tears on her eyes or on her face at all. But that didn't mean she wasn't crying. Reina was crying. She was crying because she was driven into a corner after all the hard work she did to become happy. Her tears looked so sad. Anyone who couldn't see those tears wasn't really thinking about her. I'm not crying. I won't cry. I did the right thing. I made the right choice. There's no reason for me to cry. It's ridiculous. I have no idea what you're talking about, Keiichi. I know it. You're crying right now. Reina stopped laughing all of a sudden. She spoke with a cold expression on her face. Okay, let's say I did what you just told me. I told you all about my father and that woman. Then what? Well, then what? Reina had never talked to me like this before. It was as if she was mocking my ignorance, and that made me shut my mouth. You don't know what happened last year. Last year? Yeah, last year. It happened in June of 1982. There was someone who had no choice but to kill a person to free himself from his misfortune. Satoko gasped. Keiichi, I don't think you know much about him. About Satoshi Hojo. I know that he's Satoko's older brother. He's been missing, but people say he transferred. There's a rumour he killed his aunt for Satoko's sake. Therefore, it's been taboo to talk about Satoshi in my class. Actually, in all of Hinamizawa. Satoshi was under the same conditions as I was. He just wanted to have happy and peaceful days. He just wanted to live peacefully and quietly with his sister. You've heard about what kind of person Satoko's aunt was. Haven't you? What I've heard is true. This is what happened. After Satoko lost her parents, her aunt and uncle got custody of her and her brother, but they were miserable people. Her aunt was especially cruel to Satoko. Satoshi was the kind of guy who wouldn't even hurt a fly, but his aunt probably was the only one whom he didn't have a problem killing. That's how terrible a person she was. Everybody in Hinamizawa knew about the trouble the Hojo family had. Everyone knew their aunt was a hysterical and crazy person and that she bullied Satoshi and Satoko. Everybody knew everything. Everybody in our class knew it too. Mion, the future head of the three families, knew it. Rika knew it. And Satoko knew it too, of course, because she was the one experiencing it. The friends you're talking about knew what Satoshi was going through more than anyone in Hinamizawa. And what happened? Did anybody help Satoshi? No, nobody did. Mion had the most influence out of all of us, but she made up a lame excuse, so that it might create conflict between the Sonozaki family and the villagers. In the end, all she did was hurting him by offering her sympathy. That's not true. Yes, it is. Satoshi knew it too. He knew that you were only pretending to sympathise with him. He knew that you had no intention to help him. That's why Satoshi started to hate you, Mion. He said that you always told him you were his friend, but after all that, you turned out to be just another Sonozaki, just another person who bullied the Hojo family. I didn't mean to. You didn't do anything to help him. You rejected his request for help by sympathising with him. Do you have any idea how much that hurt? Mion tried to find something to say, but failed to do so. She bit her lip instead. Rika, you were the same too. Now Reina was pointing fingers at Rika. Unlike Mion, Rika looked emotionless and empty, just like Reina did. Rika, you don't have the kind of power in Hinamizawa that Mion does, but your word carries a lot of weight with the old people that come to your shrine, don't they? There was something you could have done for him, but you didn't. Rika, you did exactly the same thing as Mion did. You just pretended to be his friend. All you did was sympathise with him and Satoko. You didn't try to help them out of the trouble they were in. Can you imagine how cruel and merciless your sympathy was to them? Satoshi wanted help. He wanted somebody to help him. He was at a dead end and couldn't get out of there by himself. He was sinking all the way down to his neck in a swamp, reaching out for help and waiting for someone to grab his hand. You're right. Rika's voice sounded mature. It was very different from how she usually sounded. I didn't know how to save them. All I could do was offer them some consolation. I'm not going to deny it, nor am I going to make excuses for my sin of not trying hard enough to find a way to save them. I didn't know you knew. Reina gave her a twisted smile. The ugliness caused me to look away. And Satoko, I don't know if you'll believe me when I say this, but you're weighed down with sin too. I didn't understand why she was playing Satoko. I tried to take her side, but I gasped in surprise when I looked at her. She looked like she was accepting the sin that Reina had mentioned. Satoko must have wanted to confess the sin before Reina pointed it out to her, and so Satoko opened her mouth first. Don't know if you'll believe me when I tell you this either, but I realised it on my own. I know what my sin is. I see. I realised it on the night Nini disappeared. I wish I'd realised it while he was still there. I understand how you feel. That sense that it was too late for regrets, right? I feel the same way. It happened to me before. That's why I fought this time. Satoko, I'm sure you can atone for your guilt in the future, because you realised what you did. But that won't bring Nini back. It's not coming back. Satoko looked down sadly. Usually Satoko would say the opposite. She always said that Satoshi was coming back one day without a doubt. But now she accepted the fact that he would never return. She accepted it easily as if she knew it already because he's her brother. Do you understand now? She asked me all of a sudden. That's how they were in 1982. Satoshi talked to everybody he thought could help him. He told them he needed help. He told them what he was going through. He consulted with them. He even came to me, though I'd just moved her at that time. I don't think it was embarrassing or shameful that he did that. People get desperate when they're unhappy. Satoshi tried very hard, but he couldn't do anything about the situation and he asked for help. He kept asking for help. You said that friends are always on your side no matter what, but this is what friends really are. They're actually just people you hang around with for fun. They don't help you when you need them. Friends are always like that. That's why I decided not to tell anybody when I found out that I was in the same situation as Satoshi. I knew that nobody would help me, and nobody could. I didn't need sympathy. Only makes me feel worse. It's better that I at least have fun at school. In fact, I did have fun at school. I was very happy. I was able to forget about the trouble I had with that woman, even if only for a short amount of time at school. I wish Satoshi could have done that too. If he did, he wouldn't have had to feel constantly hopeless, and he could have at least enjoyed his time at school. He didn't have any other choice than beating his aunt to death anyway. I didn't know how to help him at that time because I just moved here. All I could do was listen to him and try and make him feel better. But there might have been something more I could have done. I might have been lazy in thinking about what I could do. But at that time in 1982, I thought I was his friend. Insert yelling noise here. Reina screaming. Rena's self-derisive laughter changed into grievous sobs. Her tears gradually wore out our relationship of trust. Nobody will help me. Friends are just people whom you have fun with. You can't trust them. The more Reina cried, the clearer we heard her voice and her heart. Mion's Toko and Rika looked into the distance with sad expressions on their faces. I was the only one who could say anything back to her now. I had to tell her this, and she knew it too. She just needed to hear it from someone. I braced myself to tell her something that might hurt everybody. I understand, Reina. I understand what happened in 1982. I understand that they were heartless, but Satoko also told you this. They realised their sins. They regretted what they did and didn't do, so it should be different this time. They can understand your pain and they can help you. You weren't here last year. I'm afraid you don't know what you're talking about. That's right, I wasn't here last year. I wish I were. If I were here last year, I would have fought for Satoshi. You're lying! I'm not lying. I've learned how important friends are since I moved to Hinamizawa. I'll fight for my friends. If I was here last year and knew what Satoko's aunt did to her and Satoshi, I wouldn't have given Satoshi the opportunity to beat her to death. I would have done it myself. I'd have done it in 1500 seconds. I wouldn't have even hesitated. I'd have beaten her to death with a metal bat. It's easy for you to say, but you don't know the kind of determination you need to kill another person. I don't know that, and I need to know that either. You know why? Because it's an obligation to help your friends. You don't understand, Keiichi. You don't know how disgusting it is to kill a person. You can never get rid of the dirt in your hands, no matter how hard you try to justify it. You're right. Killing a person in order to save your friends is such a short-sighted way of thinking. Might sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I think things aren't meant to go well when you're taking care of an evil matter by doing an evil deed. I'm proud of my conviction that I wasn't hesitant to kill a person for the sake of my friends. But the peace I get by doing an evil deed won't last forever. We all know that by instinct. That's why we all despise evil things, I think. What? I have no idea what you're talking about. She didn't have to tell me that. I was aware it wasn't making any sense, but for some reason, I could easily imagine a world like that. A world in which I saved my precious friends by committing an evil act. The peace I seized by doing that evil deed didn't last long. It got worse. It ended in a way as terrible as the sin I committed. Keiichi, my friend, it sure did. This was a memory that shouldn't exist. I don't know why, but I know for a fact that it happened, in that world of possibility. I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. For some reason, I couldn't prevent myself from smiling in embarrassment even in a situation like this. But you know it too, don't you, Reina? You know that you didn't want to get your hands dirty. You're crying because you wanted us to help you, but we didn't. You didn't want to be a murderer. You're lying when you claim this is the best choice you could have made. That's why you've been crying. It's not true. Not true. It's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. You know better than anybody if it's true or not. You've been regretting this from the beginning. Even if you're able to hide the corpses without getting caught, you could never wash the blood off your hands. How are you going to fool yourself into believing you won't have to live the rest of your life bearing the burden of your sin? There's only one way to do that. You have to believe this was the only choice. That means you have to live your life denying your friends and denying that your friends are worth asking for help. Are we worth nothing to you, Reina? Of course not. You always believed that friends exist to help each other. Your friends were immature last year. That's why they couldn't help Satoshi from his unfortunate fate. But people grow up. We don't make the same mistakes twice. We don't want to regret the same thing twice. So believe me, we're your friends. We're on your side. So what you're saying is that I was immature too, right? Yeah, I am. You were immature because you couldn't believe that your friends grew up. But I'm not going to blame you for that. We didn't notice until today that you've been going through such a hard time all alone. People can communicate their feelings only by talking to others. So there was nothing we could do because we didn't talk. In that sense, it's hard to say it, but we have to admit that this was meant to happen today in order to make your choice the best one for real. We finally talked about our feelings. We now know that you've been distrusting your friends since last year, and that everybody regretted both what they did and didn't do. So now we finally became true friends. Finally, but it's too late. We only notice our sins after it's too late. It's not necessarily true. For example, as your friend, I can understand the things you've done this time. What do you mean by that? I understand that depriving people of their lives is an unforgivable crime, but I also understand that my friend, Reina, had no other choice but to do this. So I don't think you're filthy and I'm not scared of you. If something like this happens again, we should talk and think about what we can do together. But this has already happened and I understand that. When I say I understand, I mean I forgive you. I don't hate you for what you did. I said that to everybody this time. I said it to all my friends. I accept what Reina did. I accept that she had no choice other than to do this, and that this was her last resort after thinking it through many times. So, I'm going to side with her. Keiichi. Of course, if she killed them for money or some other stupid reason, I'd drag her to the police. But that wasn't why Reina did this. She couldn't run away and she thought it through before she came to this point. If she's guilty of anything, she's only guilty of not talking to us about it beforehand. But I forgive her for that too. I forgive her for coming to this point. Keiichi. So, I beg you all, please forgive me for not noticing Reina's situation and for letting her go through it alone. My sin is that I allowed a day like today to come to pass. Keiichi. We're the only ones who know about these bags. If we keep it to ourselves, everything will be fine. Reina doesn't have to worry about a thing. Let's hide them somewhere like she planned. We'll cleanse ourselves with salt later and that's it. Let's forgive each other for our sins, and then we'll regain our happy and peaceful days. This is it, right? Reina, this is the future you chose, right? This is the best possible choice, right? Keiichi. I jumped on the hood of an abandoned car Reina was standing on and I reached for her hands. Admit it. This is the world you wanted. This is the choice you wanted to make. But this is something you can't choose by yourself. All of us have to reach for each other's hands so that Reina can make the choice. In other words, I can't make it happen by myself. I need everybody to reach for each other's hands. So Reina, you need to do it too. When all of us hold hands together, that's when you can go to the world that exists beyond the choice you made. Keiichi, I appreciate it, if you really mean it, but I'm not sure if that's what everybody else wants. A little hand touched mine. It was Rika. Rika! Reina, you aren't filthy. You didn't give up. You seized your fate, even though you had to dirty your hands to do it. I have no reason not to accept you. Rika's small hand was strong and she spoke eloquently. I know how comfortable it feels to be stained by disappointment at everything in this world after getting lost in a maze of misfortune. That's when I can understand how strong you are and how hard you fought, alone, without giving up. I'm proud of having you in my life. I agree with Keiichi. I forgive you for your sin. So please forgive me for mine too. Rika, I'm just a little girl without any power, but I could have fought. I'll not give up on my fate. I'll fight like you did, so I ask you to accept me as your friend. Rika usually acts childish, but now she acts like a totally different person. She meant every word she was saying. And then another little hand reached out to us. Stoko. Stoko put a hand over mine and Rika's. She didn't say anything, looking down for a while. Rika urged her to speak. Rika and I lost both our parents. We never cried about it, however, because we have you, a family made of friends. I want us to continue to be a family for you. It's natural to get it all out and to confess everything to your family because, well, they are your family. So I think today was a great opportunity for us. I appreciate that we had the chance to forgive each other for our sins. Family made of friends. Stoko, I like that. I forgive you for your sin, Reina. Please forgive me for mine too. A big hand reached out for ours. It was Mion's. I always thought it was my job as leader of this club to talk about the importance of friends, so I guess I'm not that good leader after all, huh? Mion. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make fun of you. Mion still smiled and scratched her head. Reina, I'm ashamed of myself as your friend and as a club president for not being able to notice what you've been through. I'd like you to forgive me for that. Of course, I also forgive you for not telling us about it. You couldn't tell me because I wasn't good enough for you. I thought I was trying to be a good leader for you, but I guess I wasn't doing my job. It's my fault. So, I forgive you for your sin, Reina. Reina, now you have all of our hands. We're all ready for you. It's your turn. Reach out for us. Come to us. This is the world you wanted. You have all of our hands right here for you to reach, so don't hesitate. I'm a murderer. I'll get you guys into trouble. Reina, we are... Really, you don't need to say anything. We're all reaching out for your hand. What else do we need to say or prove? Reina, you don't need to say anything. All you need to do is reach out for us. Come on, Reina. This is real. It's not too late. You still have choices you can make, so choose. You can still make it. Come on. It's not too late to start over again. Reina slowly reached out, and her hand touched ours. She didn't hold our hands. All she needed to do was to touch our hands to show us her will. Reina chose to live, to share her life with her friends, rather than to refuse it for the rest of her life. I took a step closer to her and firmly grabbed her wrist. It was getting dark and some stars appeared in the sky. We all forgave each other for our sins for the first time, and it was a little embarrassing, but Reina's tears made us all cry and we just kept crying together. We stood in a circle, holding each other by the shoulder and putting our heads together in the middle. We are a family made of friends. We forgave each other and we were happy together. There's a memory in the back of my mind, but it's not supposed to exist. I tried to save one of my friends in that world. In order to do that, I rejected all of my other friends. I acted recklessly alone, and I brought about the end of the world. The situation we had here is the same as the incident in that faraway world, in the sense that people have been deprived of their lives in order to save one friend of mine. But other than that, it was different. We have Reina, Mion, Satoko, and Rika, and myself. Nobody was missing. We were going to regain them. We were going to regain those happy and peaceful days. The road going there might be a little rough, but we'll walk it together. We all will. We went to the place in the mountains of Higurashi that Reina had picked for burying the bags. Carrying corpses is a scary thing to do, but it made us more united more strongly because of that. Since she used to put the corpses in a separate trash plastic bag, we can tell what's inside each bag by touching it. First, we forced ourselves to laugh whenever we had to touch the bodies because we were scared, but after a while we got used to it, to the point where we could make jokes about it. Of course, all of that was probably a bluff, but we all tried our best. Mion somehow had detailed knowledge of how to hide corpses, and she told me to dig the hole deeper. Rika helped carry the bags. Satoko used her talent setting traps to perfectly camouflage the place where we buried the bags. Me? I was in charge of digging the hole. Reina dug it earlier, but I made it a little deeper. After we finished all that, we walked back to the place where we parked our bicycles and looked at the place where we buried the bags. It was completely unnoticeable. We'd never be able to find that place again once we left for home. That's how perfect it looked. Great! Thank you all for your hard work. We're done here. It's time to go home. Mion said it cheerfully, as if we just finished club activities or something. We had no more bags to carry, and we no longer had any burden to carry either. We got on our bicycles, but Reina was still standing there, looking into the distance. Hey, Reina. What? I'm sorry. I think I caught a cold or something. I feel feverish and dizzy. Reina's face looked slightly red. Mion touched Reina's forehead. It actually was a little warm. She had a tough day today. She had to go through so many things. She had to find a place to hide the corpses. She had to dig a hole. We caught her with the bags, we talked about our feelings, and we forgave each other. She must be exhausted after a day like that. Reina, you should rest well when you get home. Yes, thank you. I will. Reina, we forgave each other for everything, so don't blame yourself anymore, okay? You were right about me. What do you mean? I couldn't fool myself. No matter how hard I tried to justify what I did, I was still scared. Look at me. I'm still shaky, even with all the help I got from you. If you hadn't found me with all the corpses, I'd have taken care of this alone. I wouldn't have been able to bear the burden. I'm pretty sure it would have been crushed by the pressure. She said all this with a bitter smile. It might take her a long time to heal from the pain, but it must be 100 times shorter than the time it would have taken if she did this all alone. Reina's home was the closest from here. Reina went her way and the four of us were left behind. Rion made a suggestion. I think we should just forget about today. What do you think? I agree. I think that would be best for Reina too. Reina's a strong girl. If we act like nothing happened, she'll act that way too. If you keep acting for long enough, it becomes real, right? We'll be able to forget by not talking about it. Our goal is to forget about it completely. I think we'll keep wondering whether or not the day of reckoning will come for the rest of our lives. You're probably correct. It's not going to be so easy to simply let it go. Even if I can't forget it for the rest of my life, that's fine by me. The most important thing is to keep it in my heart forever. The most important thing is that we don't make her think about it. We nodded in agreement just as my house came into view. Well, this is goodbye. See you at school, just like always. Just like always. I'll set a perfect trap for you, just like always. Haha. Goodbye, Keiichi. After I parted with them, I still felt hot and dizzy. It felt really weird. I was even staggering to the front door. I felt as if I was floating in the air, like I just took some very strong cold medicine. Today, something very shocking, something that made me super happy, and something very embarrassing happened to me. I felt as if my heart and mind were about to explode because they were filled to the brim with both happiness and sadness. I don't know whether I made a crucial mistake today or if I had the happiest day of my life. I don't know which it is, and all I could do was stare blankly into space. I felt frustrated too. Even though they were my friends, I was caught in the act of abandoning the corpses. But at the same time, I felt relieved that my reliable friends accepted what I did. Those emotions were all mixed up in my heart, and they were equally strong, making it difficult for me to decide what I was feeling. I was losing my sense of balance. It was like the world was warping around me. I heard sounds as if I was in the shower. Everything left me with a feeling of unreality. When those emotions were about to make me lose control, I felt a heat on my wrist. The part where Keiichi grabbed me earlier started throbbing. My feelings weren't cooperating me, but the heat on my wrist calmed them down for me. I don't know how to express what I felt when my friends and I held shoulders together in a circle earlier, but the feeling was the only thing I knew to be real. I'm home. Huh? As soon as I opened the front door, I smelled it. It smelled really good. My father isn't good at cooking, but he likes trying to cook creative dishes. I remember he used to cook something very challenging whenever he was in a good mood. So this smell was a sign that he felt that way. That's why I always liked this smell. The reason he's in a good mood is because he found a job. And not just any job. He found a job with a company created by friends from his old workplace. They remembered my father and promised to hire him. He told me that some of his other colleagues from the old company are also working there. Must be very encouraging for him to work with people he knows, because he hasn't worked for a long time. The dinner looked great in contrast to how it tasted. It was a dinner to celebrate his new life, to show his determination, to regain his bond with his daughter, and to make a clean start. I talked about a lot of things with my father that night. It had been a long time since the last time I talked with him like this. I don't remember when it was, but it reminded me of the days I was still happy, which meant that I'd finally returned to that time. My father still believes that Tepe is coming back one day, so he's still very cautious about locking the doors and windows, and he gets scared every time someone rings the doorbell. I told him so many times they'd never come back, but I couldn't convince him because I couldn't tell him the reason why they went. He'll eventually realise that he's free. I'm sure it won't take too long. My heart was full of many, many emotions that day. If emotion could actually burst a heart open, it might happen to me. My brain must have been overworked because so many things happened at once. My head was still fuzzy, but I managed to crawl into bed. I felt like the ground was moving. I totally lost my sense of reality. I remember that once I felt like this when I got the flu. Might get a high fever tomorrow, but I don't care. I don't care if I get sick tomorrow. I just wanted to enjoy the fact that I took a step towards the future of my decision. Keiichi told me something like that today. The high fever and the dizziness made me feel frustrated for some reason, but whenever I felt frustrated, I felt the heat on my wrist too. I grabbed my wrist with my left hand tightly. It made the frustration go away and it brought me relief. Even the dizziness I didn't like just before made me feel like I was in a downfilled futon. I was falling asleep in that downfilled futon, in my first night in a new world. The dizziness didn't go away for a few days, but I gradually got used to it. This new world looked like the world I used to live in before, but the sunshine was a little bit brighter, and Keiichi's smile looked a little more gentle than before. We made more noise than we used to. We spent every day slowly, but in high spirits. Oh, what an idiot I am. I underestimated that dizziness, and I caught summer cold in June. I wanted to get better as soon as possible. I should have taken a day off from club activities, but I forced myself to play with them every day, and that made it hard for me to get better. I finally learned my lesson recently. I don't need to feel frustrated. There's no limit to happiness in this world. As long as we keep wishing for it, it'll continue forever. I don't need to feel frustrated anymore, because tomorrow I'll have the happiness I have today. We'll have the Watanagashi festival next Sunday. Mion tells us we'll have a lot of fun and that we'll go extra crazy. I really can't wait. Dun 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 dun. I know I've decided the title for this YouTube video, absolutely. Love is helping them bury the bodies. Also, the achievement for this is right. I am crying. I'm not crying out loud right now, but I'm crying in my soul right now. Letter from the forestry office. It's still June, yet the air is filled with crisis cicadas. How's everyone in Hinamizawa doing? The Higurashi festival is coming just around the corner. 3 staff members from the forestry service are going to perform a wood sculpting demonstration at the festival. We'll be happy to lend out our tools and teach your kids how to sculpt wood themselves. It'll be an excellent memorial gift. Also, we'd like to inform everyone we're going to cut down trees in the local hills this summer as part of the number blah blah 4th Forest Landscape Management Project. This project involves preserving the beauty of the forest by cutting down old trees and planting new ones. The forestry service needs volunteers who are interested in helping us cut down the old trees. You can enjoy the beauty of nature under the blue sky while helping out with this preservation activity. The project will begin during summer break, so you can bring your kids too. This will be a good opportunity for your kids to learn about nature and have a valuable experience. The locations of the project are the forests in the Taketsudo and Yagauchi areas. Dun 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 dun. And with that dramatic ending, it is time for us to end things off here. I am going to say thank you so much for watching. It is very, very much appreciated. And I do hope that you enjoyed. I will be streaming Nier Automata on for some reason my music isn't working. Bear with me. What's going on here? Did I accidentally... No? Okay, well, for some reason I don't have music, so I'm sorry about that. Anyway, I will be streaming Nier Automata on Saturday, where we are going to be continuing the story. I still don't really understand what's going on, and I'm probably more confused after Yoha raid, but we'll continue it nonetheless and see what the stitch is. Then on Sunday it'll be Destiny 2, where we're going to be doing the new story stuff, and also the Solstice of Hero stuff, so that'll be good. Then on Tuesday it'll be Final Fantasy 14, where we are going to probably be starting the story of 5.3 over on our shard. I'm not going to do it all in one go, I'm going to split it up, but we'll be starting that story on him. And then finally next Thursday will be more Higurashi When They Cry, Tsumihoroboshi, where I have no doubt that nothing bad will happen of our actions today. It will all be fine and everything will go just great. So thank you for coming on, everybody. Have a wonderful evening, do look after yourselves, and I shall see you guys on Saturday.